Thanks so much, Dave. We've got Big Ten football under the lights here in Bloomington. It's a primetime party. Buckeyes and Hoosiers at Memorial Stadium to get you ready. Here's the Indiana Marching 100. Let's do this. Saturday Night Football here in Bloomington. The 8th-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes in town taking on a much-improved Indiana Hoosier team. Hello, everyone. So glad you could join us here. Saturday Night Football in Bloomington, Indiana. I'm Eric Collins alongside my partner, Derek Rackley. And let's start with the Ohio State Buckeyes. They've got so much on the line. They're a perfect 6-0. And right now, they've got a quarterback in Braxton Miller who's probably on the short list of Heisman hopefuls.
Well, Eric, if he continues to play like he did last week against Nebraska, he will earn himself a seat in New York City. 186 yards rushing against the Huskers. But what's most impressive to me is he's just 6 games into his sophomore season. He's already got 7 games of 100 yards or more rushing. You add to that Carlos Hyde has really elevated his play from the running back position. This team and this offense has really made its case of being one of the most dynamic in the conference.
Now, it's not going to be easy tonight. Indiana is much improved. Record may not show it, but listen to this. First-year signal caller at quarterback, and all of a sudden they've got the best passing offense in the conference. How is that possible?
Well, they've really become much more of a pass-heavy offense, especially ever since the incumbent starter, Trey Roberson, went down. And Cameron Kaufman has been the main guy for them at the quarterback. They average 48 pass attempts per game, but what's most impressive to me with Kaufman is that he completes 76% of his passes on 3rd down, and he's only had 1 interception. That's the best way to give your offense a chance to win ball games when you don't beat yourself.
All right, we've talked a lot about the offense, but folks, this is a Big Ten game. There will be defense played. John Simon and the Ohio State Buckeyes taking on Adam Replogle and the Indiana Hoosiers. Welcome back to Bloomington. Just moments ago, the Indiana Hoosiers taking the field here at Memorial Stadium. Just a gorgeous night for football here in Southern Indiana, and after a busy day around the conference, let's take a look at the standings. Both Iowa and Michigan with wins. They're atop the Legends division. Penn State with a bye this week, so Ohio State with a win tonight, they'd be a half game in first in the leaders division. Now tonight's sideline reports are brought to you by Best Buy. Just moments ago, Jay Lehman caught up with Indiana head coach Kevin Wilson.
Coach, we've seen vast improvement out of your football team over the last 2 weeks. How do you build on that tonight?
Well, again, we've had another good week of practice, but you got to do in games. We got a great opponent. They're going to challenge in all 3 phases. You got a great player you got to stop in Braxton, and we're going to have to score points. So 3rd down conversions, scoring zone conversions, because we're not going to have a chance kicking field goals.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Now Kevin Wilson matching wits with Urban Meyer. Urban still with that unblemished record as an Ohio State head man, perfect 6-0. As we get ready for the kickoff, let's take a look at tonight's Napa Know-How Keys to Victory. What do you got, Derek?
Let's start with the Ohio State offense. Anytime you're going on the road, you got to start fast. This has been such a great offense, but actually in the last 3 games, only 1 offensive touchdown from that side of the ball. And defensively for Indiana, they've got to get push on that defensive front. The best way to slow down Braxton Miller in that running game is get your defensive line and the linebackers in the Ohio State backfield. Make them start to chatter their feet a little bit when they're coming upfield.
Now, just a gorgeous evening here in southern Indiana. Buckeyes and Hoosiers. And unlike every other game played so far today around the Big Ten, this one's going to be played without any raindrops. It was a rainy day in Big Ten country, but we're not expecting any of the precipitation. It should be a fast track for Kevin Wilson's Indiana Hoosiers and Urban Meyer's Ohio State Buckeyes. Record doesn't indicate it, but Kevin Wilson very happy with the progress of his team. Urban Meyer said a lot of complimentary things about Kevin Wilson in the direction of these Hoosiers. They know that it's not going to be easy against Indiana.
Well, there's going to be footballs in the air quite a bit when Indiana's on offense. They've had a really successful passing game, and they're one of those teams that likes to run every kind of screen in the book. To the running backs, to the wide receivers, jets, bubbles, you name it. They want to get the hands out of the quarterback, the ball out of the quarterback's hands quickly and get it into the hands of their playmakers.
A little bit of a surprise. Indiana won the toss, and they elect to defer the decision to the second half. So Ohio State will start on offense. Buckeyes ranked 8th in the country. Mitch Ewald gets this game started. Deep kick into the end zone. It'll be a touchback. Ball to be started at the 25. And here comes the man that has been the talk of the Big Ten so far this year. Braxton Miller, just a sophomore, but a lot of people have been clapping their hands about him. He has been terrific, particularly his performance a week ago against Nebraska. A new Ohio State record with 186 rushing yards as a quarterback.
Well, we know he's got the ability to make people miss in the running game, but just wait until he starts averaging 200, 225, 250 passing yards a game. There won't be many defenses that'll be able to slow down when he's running the football and they get things clicking through the air.
Kind of a slow start. Ball spotted at the 25. Now we're ready to play. Miller out of the gun. 5-receiver formation quickly over to Philly Brown. And Brown, who's been really good in recent weeks, starts out with a rip of 7 yards. Let's take a look at the Ohio State big boys. The starting wall, they've been terrific. Urban Meyer says this has been the key to the wins of the last 2 weeks. Corey Lindsley is the center. He has been really good coming on. Backs and receivers, Carlos Hyde, another 100-yard game for him a week ago. Also scored 4 touchdowns against Nebraska. Hyde behind Miller, the pistol formation. Now Hyde moves a step to the right, and he has his first touch. No, Miller keeps it, and he spins out to the 40-yard line. First down of the game for Ohio State. Here's the Auto Owners Insurance defense for Indiana. Larry Brack inside play next to Adam Replogle. Those are the 2 most experienced players. Replogle, his 41st start as a Hoosier. Linebackers, they've got a couple of junior college transfers in Alexander and David Cooper. And there are some changes to tell you about in the secondary. We'll get to that in a moment. First down and 10. Miller looking to pass. Nothing doing. Runs it himself and gets a couple when there was nothing there. Larry Black Jr. makes the tackle after a gain of a pair. Let's talk about the secondary. A couple of changes. Greg Heben is going to get the start at one of the safeties. And Antonio Marshall, Jr. from Pitts, Georgia, his first start as a college player. He replaces Kenny Mullen. Heben does have a lot of playing experience as a cornerback the last couple of years, but this is first start as one of the safeties. Second and 7. Miller, his first pass incomplete. Wow. Brian Williams separating Corey Brown from the football.
That's just nice recognition right there by Brian Williams. He sees this play coming right at him, and he breaks. He gets by Devin Smith to come up and lay the hit. This ball was behind Philly Brown. It would have been a tough ball for him to catch anyway. But the the recognition by Williams to be there right on contact when the ball gets there was the reason it was broken up.
Hoosiers want to get off the field defensively. 3rd and 7. Hoosiers showing blitz, they bring it. Over the middle, pass is caught, looks to be short of the first down. Stoneburner with the grab. It looks like it's going to be about a half a yard short of the sticks.
Well, you can see how important it is in the early downs to make sure you pick up 3 to 4 yards, because that was a very successful play. They got the ball into the hands of Stoneburner, but because of their lack of success on 1st and 2nd down, they came up just a hair short.
There's some confusion with the yard markers right now. Braxton Miller spins out of a tackle attempt in the backfield, and he is dropped. That was a first down play. They had awarded Ohio State the first down the previous play. So that a loss of 7 on 1st down.
Again, we talked about that pressure, that Indiana defensive front getting into the backfield of Braxton Miller. That's exactly what you've got to do, is get your red jerseys on the opposing side of the line of scrimmage. That way, if you can get him contained, keep him inside, and get him down on the ground. Nice play right there by Zach Shaw.
Kevin Wilson, head coach for Indiana, none too happy. There was some confusion along the sideline in terms of the officiating crew as to where the yard markers should have been. They call it a loss of 10, so 2nd and 20. Miller out of the pocket. Nice gain. Oh my, is he slippery across the 50 to the 43.
That's just one of those plays that you just don't have a defense for. It's 2nd and long. You know the offense is going to be looking through the air, but he finds an opening in the defense. And in space, it's so hard to bring him down because he's one of the most elusive ball carriers. I'm not going to say just quarterbacks. I'm going to say ball carriers. That puts wide receivers and running backs in the same position.
Buckeyes, 38 points per game, 2nd best in the conference. They do most of their work on the ground. Look at the passing yards. They are dead last in the conference in passing offense. 3rd and 3. Verlon Reed in motion. Miller guns it. Incomplete. Good defense played by Mark Murphy. And a flag comes down late. A flag down in the secondary.
Well, you mentioned it, Eric. It looked like pretty good defense, but a lot of times it ends up being the left hand from the backside, the one that they end up calling. That looked like pretty good defense. In my opinion, Mark Murphy coming with that backside arm, the right arm, to break up the pass. I didn't see any interference.
Here's Bill Lamagna.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 9. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
So Ohio State survives a 2nd and 20 and eventually converts, and they've got a fresh set of downs.
Again, keep your eye on the backside, which will end up being that left arm. A lot of times that's what it is. You see that left arm by Murphy was kind of wrapped around the hip. That's likely what the official called. They don't want to see that opposite hand wrapping around the receiver.
And it's Murphy who was down on the field a moment ago. He's now on the sideline as it's 1st down and 10. Ball at the 27-yard line for Ohio State. Alexander Webb, number 27, is now on the field for Indiana, replacing Mark Murphy.
And Ohio State's not a big passing team, but you wonder if they might take a couple of extra shots, knowing that especially on this play, you've got 3 secondary players that are not normal players at that position.
This is Miller running a little option, keeps it himself. And Miller squirts down to the 13-yard line. There's been some starts and stops, but this is turning out to be a nice drive for Ohio State.
See the slow play right there by Jakari Alexander, number 34. You know, it's one of the positions that I probably would not want to be in as a defender, is going to try to slow down the option when Braxton Miller's coming at you. You almost have to just commit to stop the quarterback, stop Braxton Miller, and make somebody else make a big play on your defense.
Let's see if they get Carlos Hyde involved close to the goal line. Option left side, Corey Brown, touchdown, Ohio State. Just wonderful ball handling by the quarterback Miller, pitching it at the perfect time, and Corey Brown puts 6 on the board for Ohio State.
Yeah, Ohio State goes with the same scheme. They stay with the option, but this time they bring Philly Brown into the backfield, and he ends up being the pitch guy. Excellent decision right there by Braxton Miller. Make the defense commit and get rid of the ball.
Drew Basil, extra point is good. Ohio State, they take the opening kickoff and they march the length of the field. A 75-yard drive. Urban Meyer pleased here in Bloomington. BTN Football is presented by John Deere, the all-new, all-powerful Gator RSX 850i. Also in part by Peak. Put Peak motor oil in, save on gas. And by the convenience stores of Speedway. Always your first choice for value and convenience. Now a nice start for Ohio State, the 8th-ranked team in all the land, putting 7 on the board, first time they touch the football.
Yeah, it's a great start. That's exactly what you need to do when you're on the road in the Big Ten, is you got to have a fast start, and it's not by field goals, it's by putting the ball in the end zone. Great start by Ohio State, converting a couple of third downs that get a little bit of help on the penalty, but they are able to put the ball into the end zone.
Now here's one of the strong suits for the Indiana Hoosiers. They are wonderful on kickoff returns. Tevin Coleman has returned a kickoff for a touchdown, had a 96-yarder against Northwestern a couple of weeks ago. Campbell and D'Angelo Roberts back deep to receive this kickoff. It's returnable. This is Coleman, and Coleman met with force at the 18-yard line. So the Hoosiers will take over at the 18-yard line. Cameron Kaufman last week against Michigan State. Look at that, 34 completions in 48 attempts. Also threw 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, it was a really good game by him, and that's what I think needs to happen with this offense, is they got to continue to put the ball in the air. Now, Kevin Wilson and Seth Luttrell have both said that they got to get the running game going. That's a component that they had to their offense toward the end of the 2011 season. But when you throw all these screen passes, they're almost like an extension of the running game.
Stephen Houston, the tailback behind Kaufman. And this is Houston trying to get the running game going early. Tackle made by Storm Klein after a pickup of 4, maybe 5. Stephen Houston, the junior from Little Rock, Arkansas. They say he's getting into better game playing shape. Looks faster than he was at the beginning of the season. And here's that high-tempo offense for Indiana. Man is wide open, and the pass is well underthrown. Oh, Shane Wynn was behind the defense, left sideline by a good 10 yards.
Well, Kaufman really missed Deweese Wilson. I think if he would have got through his progression a little bit earlier, he would have seen him coming across the formation. Here's Deweese, he's wide open. I saw him as he was coming across, and I think Kaufman was just late getting through his progression. He gets that ball out of his hands a second quicker, and that's a completion.
The guys open all over the field for Indiana on that play. 3rd and 6, Kaufman, line drive dropped by Wilson. Bobbled it, comes up empty. It's going to be a 3 and out for Indiana.
That's a really good throw, though. I like that, trying to hit the skinny post. He gets the ball out of his hands quickly. It's delivered to a spot to where his wide receiver has a chance to bring it down. He just couldn't make the catch, but these are the type of plays that you're going to have to make. You can see right there, it's delivered perfectly. I think he needs to turn his hands around a little bit more. Don't wait for it to come kind of in that basket style of catch, but he brings that one down, and they get a first down and move the chains.
Indiana had the ball for less than a minute of game time. Have to punt it away, and Corey Brown, after a flub, dives on it. And Ohio State will go on offense for the 2nd time.
Sometimes your returner gets a little bit anxious to get up the field. I think that was a chance right there where Corey Brown actually misjudged how deep the punt was. Needed to get himself back a couple of yards. Let's go back and take a look at that touchdown on the first drive for Ohio State. Watch how the impact of the run game, and Carlos Hyde has the entire defense moving to their left, the offensive right. There was all kinds of space open for Braxton Miller and Corey Brown.
Derek, that last drive for Indiana took 45 seconds off the game clock.
Well, they want to go at a really fast pace, but that's the downside of it. If you don't get a couple of completions, if you don't move the chains, you're going to put your defense back on the field in a hurry.
Here's a touch for Carlos Hyde. Tries the middle of that line of scrimmage and gets out to the 35-yard line. Well, Indiana defensively, they're a work in progress. They struggle, giving up close to 28 points per game. They're dead last in yards allowed, and they give up a ton on the ground.
Well, I think one of the big reasons that you're seeing those numbers is the big plays. They've given up 13 plays of 20 or more yards in just the last 3 games. So that's going to really inflate those defensive numbers. They got to cut down on the big plays, and especially we've seen Ohio State has the ability to put some big ones up.
Another chance for Hyde, dancing before he hits the hole, and then hits the hole with force. Out across the 45 before Alexander trips him up. Best gain of the day for Carlos Hyde.
And you're just seeing some technique right there. Brian Williams, number 7, has a chance to make this tackle in the hole. And I like the footwork, but right there, that's a missed tackle by Brian Williams. You bring him down, that's a 2-yard gain. Instead, 1st and 10 for the Buckeyes.
Hyde has now gone over 300 yards on the ground on the season. At his best game a week ago against Nebraska. Third consecutive carry for Hyde. They're trying to rip the football out. He's tackled as he crosses the 50. Let's go down to Jay Lehman. Jay, what's going on with the missed tackles in Indiana?
It looks like the Indiana defense is just diving and taking shots at legs rather than keeping their feet, staying low, and driving their legs. They need to take proper balance and hit the guy.
It's an excellent point, Jay, but when you got Carlos Hyde, who's coming at you at 235 pounds downhill, I can see why a lot of defensive backs are going to just lunge at him, but it's a great point. You've got to bring your legs, you've got to bring your hips with you. That's the best chance you're going to have on bringing somebody like Carlos Hyde to the ground.
Another chance for Hyde, and this time the Hoosiers hang on and bring him down. Larry Black and Adam Replogle combined for the stop. That'll bring up a 3rd down.
Well, Adam Repogle's been one of the most active defensive tackles in the entire conference. 7.2 tackles per game. You just normally don't see a defensive tackle that's that productive. A lot of times they're getting, offensive line is sliding to them, they're getting double teamed, so they're just trying to chew up blocks. But not only is he taking on those blocks, he's shedding them and running down and making plays in the backfield.
Let's see if Braxton Miller can make a play with his arm. Tons of time. Pass incomplete. Wide of the mark, looking for Devin Smith. Nice defense played by Brian Williams, and Ohio State will have to punt.
That's good coverage across the board, but you can see Devin Smith is going against Brian Williams. Just really good coverage. It's physical. Maybe he got away with a little bit of a tug right there, but there was no separation. Devin Smith wasn't able to create any separation, so it was a really tight window that Braxton Miller had to try to slide that football in.
Ben Buchanan punted away for the 32nd time on the year. Nick Stoner, the speed merchant, back deep to receive this punt for Indiana. Booming kick, high spiral. Fair catch called for, bobbled, and made at the 7-yard line. So a punt of 45 yards, no return. Timeout on the field. When we come back to Bloomington, Indiana, the Hoosiers will have their offense back on the field. It's early. Ohio State on top of Indiana by a score of 7-0. I'm Eric Collins, Derek Rackley. He may be the most talented person in the world. You've always got the iPad going. You're always second screening it.
Well, you know, Eric, I spent 8 years in the NFL, and one of the mottos in the NFL is the more you can do. So I've carried that over into my next career, the more that you can do.
Well, there's a reason you got the iPad out right now. You're second screening it. The Twitterverse, of course, is always going. It's nonstop, talking about Big Ten football and BTN Connect. It's Indiana. Tries the ground game. Stephen Houston now in game. BTN Connect is the place to join the conversation, see what fans and the media are saying, vote in our Twitter polls, track the stats, and find out who is trending in the Big Ten today. It's all at btn.com/connect. Twitter poll for you coming up. A lot going on Saturday night here in Bloomington. Over the middle, pass intended for Shane Wynn, and it's knocked away. It'll bring up third down. While we have a moment to take a look at the starters offensively for Indiana. They start 2 true freshmen, one of them at left tackle, in Jason Spriggs. Leads the team with 36 knockdown blocks, backs and receivers. This is an important game for Shane Wynn. Sophomore from Cleveland, Ohio. He is from that talent-rich program, the Glenville Tarblooders. Playing against a lot of his former teammates in this one. Third down and 8. Kaufman's pass is incomplete. Looking for Jamon Chester. That would have been enough for the first down, but instead it's another 3 and out.
Well, we saw a couple of drops now on consecutive drives on third down. The wide receivers, you got to help out your quarterback a little bit. You got to be able to make a tough catch to extend a drive right there. I like the throw by Kaufman. He puts it in a spot where it was catchable by Jamon Chester. You can see it was a good pocket right there. As a wide receiver, you just got to make the catch. You got to keep your eyes on the football, make the catch, turn upfield, and move the chains.
Second punt for Eric Toth. Corey Brown calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 44-yard line. 45 yards, no return. Coming up after the final drive after our game, it's a special presentation of The Journey. BTN, of course, giving you all-access look at the teams you love. Don't miss The Journey Big Ten Football 2012. Brought to you by Best Buy. That's immediately following the final drive, only on BTN. Derek, you're not going to believe this, but that last drive for Indiana was even shorter than their first drive. Indiana had the ball for 34 seconds.
And that's not good. Not good that you're giving Ohio State their offense the football back so quickly.
Braxton Miller out of the gun. Rod Smith, an Indiana native, in the backfield with him. And this is Smith, who spins and is tackled. Greg Heben on the tackle. Let's take a look at our Twitter question. Who will pass for more yards today? Hashtag BTN Kaufman. Hashtag BTN Miller. Braxton Miller, sophomore from Huber Heights, Ohio. Cameron Kaufman, sophomore from Peculiar, Missouri. Either side is lighting it up through the sky so far. Ohio State trying to get it done on the ground. They scored a touchdown first time they had it. Another give to Smith, and Smith rips off a nice run. Stumbles as he crosses the 40. That's another first down for Ohio State.
Well, just when you think you're getting a break, when Carlos Hyde comes out of the game, they bring in Rod Smith, who's also 230 pounds, and one of his biggest assets to this team is the fact that he is a strong running back. He's got ability to break tackles. You can see there's one missed tackle right there. There's another one right there. Almost a missed tackle by Mark Murphy, but yards after contact by Rod Smith.
Rod Smith from Fort Wayne, Indiana, stays in the game. Miller wants to throw, has a man wide open, and it's dropped. Devin Smith can't hang on. Would have been a sure touchdown.
Now, one of the things we were talking to Tom Herman about with the wide receivers, he said, yeah, Devin Smith had the ability to make some big-time catches, some highlight reel plays, but we need to see the consistency, and this is exactly what he's talking about. This is a touchdown, just a long, skinny post, beautifully thrown ball by Braxton Miller right there. The ball's delivered up in the air a little bit, but he's starting to look for the end zone. He's starting to look for the end zone. He sees Mark Murphy coming. Got to catch the ball first. We've seen a lot of drop passes early on in this ball game.
Devin Smith earlier this year against the Miami Redhawks made maybe the catch of the year around the Big Ten with one hand. Nice touchdown grab, this time with two hands, wide open, can't make the play. Miller in trouble, sandwiched and brought down. Larry Black Jr. and Bobby Richardson combine on the sack.
It's a nice job by Bobby Richardson, just holding on until reinforcements were able to come, because this is a lot of times when you see Braxton Miller slide out of there. A little bit of a game right there where Bobby Richardson starts outside and comes back inside. You can see him just holding on to that jersey, and Larry Black comes by in the end and cleans up. Good defensive play right there by the Hoosiers.
Indiana much improved defensively in making big plays. That is their 11th sack of the season. Third down at 16. Miller keeps it. Miller's got a chance, trying to get to the edge. He's got the first down. This kid is electric.
I mean, so often when you see third and long situations like that and a team decides to run the football, It's because they're planning on playing a field position battle. But with Braxton Miller, you have always got an opportunity to move the chains with him running the football. Huge hole opens up, he sees it on the backside and just turns on the jets. They always have a chance, whether it's 3rd and short, 3rd and medium, 3rd and long. You've got to buckle down defensively and get him down on the ground.
6 rushing first downs for Ohio State. Miller wants to throw. Throws a dart high and outside, looking for Stoneburner. You get it over Stoneburner, you've done something. He's 6'5".
And I like the post-corner combination that they had, trying to go outside. They had a post coming on the outside, and then they just bring Stoneburner on a corner route. It was open. Just a little bit of an errant throw right there by Braxton Miller. Just deliver that one so Stoneburner's got a chance to run underneath it, and they get the ball at least inside the 10-yard line if Stoneburner does not get into the end zone.
Quick little toss, Corey Brown. And Brown cuts it back inside. Tackled at the 16-yard line. Just short of the first down marker. That'll bring up 3rd down and short.
See the confidence that Urban Meyer's got on Corey Brown here. He's the guy that they're trying to get to be like the Percy Harvin was at Florida. Somebody coming in from the outside, wide receiver running the football.
Well, Ohio State trying to get cute, quick snap against the Hoosiers, and it fooled absolutely no one. Indiana well-schooled, and Miller tackled behind the line of scrimmage. It'll bring up 4th down.
Part of the reason is because this Indiana defense sees it all the time in camp and spring football, because that's the style of offense that Indiana runs. So when they're going #1 defense versus #1 offense, they see the hurry up all the time. So they're always expecting it. But I like that discipline of everybody getting set by the Indiana defense and causing the 4th down.
Just the 3rd field goal attempt all season long for Ohio State. Drew Basil, 2 for 2. His long is 26 yards. This one 35. And he knocks it home. No worries. So Ohio State gets into the red zone, and they have to settle for the field goal. The lead is now 10-0. Ohio State on top of Indiana. Welcome back, everyone. Just a gorgeous Saturday evening here in Bloomington, Indiana. With the wonderful weather in the 70s today. Walked around the campus. Man, you can look in every possible direction here in Bloomington, and it's an eyeful.
Yeah, it is a great campus. It was actually really nice at this time of the year to be walking around in shorts and a t-shirt, too. I enjoyed it. Late kickoff, had a chance to
You found the golf course.
I did, a little bit early on. Then I had to go back to work.
For me, golfing is work. All right, Indiana trying to get some offense going. Tevin Coleman, D'Angelo Roberts back deep to receive this kickoff from Drew Basil. Basil moments ago making a 35-yard field goal. Coleman starts from the goal line. Nothing doing at all.
Let's take a look at Indiana's offense here the first couple of series. A lot of drop passes. This one right here by Deweese Wilson, a ball that he needs to bring in. Another one by Deweese Wilson, and then here, another drop pass by Javon Chester. The wide receivers are going to have to help out this Indiana offense a little bit. They've ran 6 offensive plays here in the first quarter compared to 24 for Ohio State.
Cameron Kaufman, junior college transfer, making his 4th start of the year. It'll dump off in another drop. Trying to get it to D'Angelo Roberts in space.
Yeah, I wonder if these guys are just coming into the game. They're just a little bit too amped up for a big game against Ohio State. It's prime time, it's under the lights. Because this is not normal Indiana right here. They've been actually a really good passing team, averaging over 300 yards a game, but they're not going to be able to get anywhere close to that if they keep dropping the football.
There's a dart caught by Cody Latimer. And Latimer close to the first down marker. All we have at the moment is take a look at the Auto Owners Insurance defense. John Simon, a senior from Youngstown. He had 5 tackles for losses a week ago. On the other end, Michael Bennett replaces Nathan Williams, who did not make the trip. 3rd down and short. Hoosiers get the first down. They'll stay on offense. Kaufman trusts the tight end Ted Bolzer, the junior from Cincinnati, with the catch. First down for the Hoosiers. Another quick snap. Man, they want to play fast. And this offense really changes, Rack, once they get that first down. Latimer, his second catch of this drive.
Well, they just need a little bit of confidence, and I think that's what you're seeing right now, because this is when Indiana's offense operates at its best. They get a first down or two, they really start picking up the tempo, wide receivers start catching the football, they start marching up and down the field, and that's where they have the best chance to start to wear the defense down.
Buckeyes move, but plenty of time to get back. New tight end of the game for Indiana, Charles Love III. Running play. Oh, and Houston, tons of room. He's got a chance. Houston, touchdown, Indiana. There is a flag down on the field. If it holds up, it's a 59-yard scamper.
Defense.
And it will hold up. Touchdown, Indiana.
Touchdown.
Derek, where'd that come from?
Well, I talked about, watch Dan Feeney come right around the corner right here, the right guard, and look at that block that he puts on Ryan Shazier. That springs Stephen Houston through the hole. Kevin Wilson talked about needing to get that running game going. That might have been the play right there that gets this offense sparked.
Kevin Wilson telling us that Stephen Houston really coming on in recent weeks. Practiced well this week, and he's showing it here in game time. A 59-yard run. And Indiana on the board. Maybe a little momentum now for the Hoosiers. They trail by 3. Now the atmosphere has changed quite a bit here at Memorial Stadium over the last handful of minutes. Nice run, 59 yards to pay dirt, Stephen Houston. And the Hoosiers within 3 of the 8th-ranked team in the country. There's a different feeling around Kevin Wilson's bunch this year. Last year, just a real difficult start to his tenure here in Bloomington, but this year, a lot of smiling faces when people talk about the Hoosiers. Touchback, ball will be spotted at the 25-yard line. Through the first 13 minutes, Braxton Miller, 24 yards passing, 43 yards rushing. He's been on the field for 3 drives, a punt, a field goal, and a touchdown for the Buckeyes.
The most important thing for Ohio State is they just got to make sure that ball security stays at the top of their list. I think the reason or the way that they let this game become close throughout the entire 60 minutes, if they start fumbling, or if they have interceptions, but I think they've got the ability, they've shown the ability offensively that they can march up and down the field.
Miller wants to throw. Incomplete. Looking for a tight end. Jeff Hireman has played well as of late, but he can't come up with that catch.
Ohio State actually was trying to take a shot down the football field. They had a wheel route that was coming up the near sidelines. It was a good read by Braxton. It was covered. He sees that his receiver doesn't help himself out a little bit.
Remember last drive, Devin Smith dropped what would have been a sure touchdown for Ohio State. Buckeyes had to settle for a field goal. Option football right side, Miller. Oh, that was defensed beautifully. Antonio Marshall really held the edge nicely for Indiana.
Yeah, and it allowed Ryan Phillips, number 25, the opportunity to get in there and make a play. The biggest thing for this defensive front, you can see 25 Phillips right there. When Braxton starts running, you've got to run. You've got to give everything you've got in the tank as far as speed goes to run east to west to be able to get him stopped in the running game.
Indiana last week against Michigan State really shut down Le'Veon Bell and the Spartans on the ground. Play clock winding down. Buckeyes get it off. Nope. Did they call a timeout? Yes, they did.
Timeout. Ohio State, first team timeout. 30-second timeout. 30-second timeout.
So Urban Meyer calls this timeout to set up a 3rd down and 10 play call. Monday, Mike Hall, Howard Griffith, and Chris Martin discuss the biggest news of the weekend and explore what's ahead for each team. The Big Ten Football Report presented by 5 Hour Energy, Monday nights on BTN. I'd imagine they'll be talking about the Iowa Hawkeyes. Didn't look great for the majority of the game, but they win in overtime against Michigan State.
Yeah, big-time win for the Hawkeyes. They might be talking about the Michigan Wolverines a little bit, too, the way that they've came out of their bye week and put 2 straight big-time offensive and defensive performances together.
3 teams around the Big Ten already today have won on the road. Iowa, Wisconsin, and Northwestern. Urban Meyer and the Buckeyes trying to make it a 4th. Only home team that has held serve, Michigan over Illinois in a big way. 3rd down and 10. And that's going to be against Ohio State. Looked like Carlos Hyde.
Ball start, 79 offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
And they call it on Marcus Hall. But it was a confused Ohio State Buckeye offense to begin with Hyde coming onto the field late.
Right there, Marcus Hall gets a little bit antsy. No matter what that defensive front does, you got to make sure you hold your water in there. Looking inside to the football. When Corey Lindsley moves that ball, that's when you move.
Designed quarterback run, and Miller staggers forward to the 24-yard line. He didn't get back to the original line of scrimmage. Ohio State loses yards on that drive.
Excuse me, Eric. We'll talk about that defensive push right there. Here's Urban Meyer looking on the line of scrimmage right there. We talked about Indiana's defensive front. One of the keys to the game is getting push in the backfield, making the ball carriers and Braxton Miller chop their feet a little bit. It's exactly what happened. You don't want Braxton Miller coming at you with a full head of steam.
So Ben Buchanan getting more work than he would have liked, and he gets it blocked. It is blocked. The Hoosiers feeling it right now. They've got the football already in the red zone.
Ohio State's already had 1 punt block this season earlier in the year, and you can see again, just comes right up the middle. There's got to be some type of miscommunication going on. I think the timing was fine, but you can see there was 2 or 3 guys that had an opportunity to be able to get this punt blocked. And you know Urban Meyer's a special teams coordinator. His teams usually excel on special teams. Big play right there for the Hoosiers.
So Indiana, they scored a touchdown last time they had it. Stephen Houston barrels forward to the 12-yard line. That may be the final play of this first quarter. Let's see if Kevin Wilson wants to dial up another play. I don't think so. Kevin Wilson knows that momentum right now is on the side of the Indiana Hoosiers. 15 minutes in the books. Both Ohio State and Indiana with a touchdown apiece. Corey Brown for Ohio State. Stephen Houston for the Hoosiers. Start of the second quarter here in Bloomington, Indiana. No reason to spend any time at downtown Bloomington tonight. Place to be, Memorial Stadium. Ohio State ranked 8th in the country, taking on Indiana, and the Hoosiers with a chance to take the lead. They've got the ball, 2nd and 6 from the 12-yard line. Hoffman hits his tight end Bolzer, and Bolzer tackled close to the first down marker. Lost the ball, but lost it out of bounds.
Again, you see they motion Stephen Houston out of the backfield, trying to see what type of coverage that they have. But I like the fact that Bolzer makes that catch and gets his pad level down and delivers a blow.
3rd down, touchdown, Houston! getting it done on the ground. They've taken a lead on the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Eric, we just talked about ball security on offense. Well, ball security also carries over into special teams as well. The block punt gives Indiana great field position, and then they execute when they get the ball in the red zone.
So the blocked punt results in another touchdown for Stephen Houston. 3 plays, 16 yards, capped off by the Houston 7-yard touchdown run, his second of the night.
Well, Coach told Jay Lehman that they had to make sure that they scored touchdowns, and that's exactly what Indiana's been able to do. Let's go back and look at the punt, though, the blocked punt by the Indiana Hoosiers, to see how they were able to get it. Here's Isaiah Roundtree right here. He gets the block, but there's the miscommunication by Cameron Williams, the backup linebacker. He goes to the punt team's right, and Roundtree comes unblocked right up the middle. I knew there was some type of miscommunication that happened. I'm not quite sure why Cameron Williams went over to the right side of the formation. Jay, what was going down on the sidelines?
Well, I saw Coach Urban Meyer grab personal protector Zach Bourne, and he said, was that a 6-man box? And as you saw, Rack, it was a 7-man box. I think there was a miscount on how many rushers there were, and that's why the linebacker was confused on that play and let a rusher go free. Rack, you know on special teams, it's the personal protector's job to count the box and get the protection right.
Yeah, and a lot of times, Jay, when you see a 6 or 7-man box, you're not thinking that it's a full-out block. A lot of times you got to have 8 people up there. That's when the punt team knows that it's going to be a design block, but you can't fall asleep against any look because you saw Indiana make Ohio State pay for it.
So Ohio State trails by 4 on the return. Rod Smith dives out across the 30. Let's see if the 8th-ranked team in the country starts to panic a little bit, trailing on the road.
Yeah, this will be the difference maker right here. Do they respond and put together a big drive and march down the field, or do they end up running over another speed bump and end up with a 3-and-out? I think this is where Braxton Miller needs to be the leader of the offense. He needs to look at the 10 other guys that are on the field or in the huddle and say, guys, we got to put together a drive. I think that's been the one thing, maybe there's a little bit of a question mark, is who is that vocal leader on the offense for the Buckeyes?
Miller wants to throw. Dart underneath, it's caught. Going to be close to the first down marker. Stoneburner with his first catch. Ohio State this year, Braxton Miller, he has been their stud rushing the football. Look at these numbers, game by game. In his career, 7 100-yard games, only halfway through his sophomore season.
Just 2 out of the 6 games was he held under 100 yards. Every running back around the nation would be happy to get numbers like this. And as a quarterback, he's already got 763 rushing yards through 6 games. That is impressive.
On first down, Miller nowhere to go. He's going backwards. Jakari Alexander and Adam Raplogel bring him down.
That's just good team defense right there. Again, you're seeing penetration in the backfield right there. John Lanen, number 96, is one of the guys that gets into the backfield, and you can see nice job by Lanen right there, trying to be that contained player. Then Jakari Alexander, one of those junior college transfers, has really fit in well for this defense, elevated his play, and been a big-time tackler.
So it's a loss of 5. Miller to throw on the run. This time the catch is made by Corey Brown. And a quick tackle to bring up 3rd down.
Talked about a quick tackle right there. Antonio Marshall, one thing that you're going to do as a corner is if you do allow a ball to get completed underneath you, you got to go make a tackle right away. And that's exactly what we saw from Marshall. Another guy that's young and compared to starts. He's a redshirt junior, but hasn't started a lot of football games for the Hoosiers. Nice open field tackle to get him down on the ground.
Indiana's already forced Ohio State to punt twice in today's game. Buckeyes are just 2 for 5 on 3rd down conversions. Blitz off the edge. Catch is made, but it appears to be short. Corey Brown is going to be short with the first down marker. What's the decision for Urban Meyer?
I think in this one, when you got Carlos Hyde and Braxton Miller in the backfield, you go for it. But again, nice play right here by Antonio Marshall. He reads it. You see, look at the break. He sees the slant. He sees the quarterback getting ready to throw, and he comes up and makes another open field tackle.
Offense staying on the field for the Buckeyes. This is not going to be a classic Ohio State formation. They're playing without a fullback. Zach Bourne not in the game. Instead, it's a single tailback and high. And a timeout called by Indiana.
Timeout, Indiana. First team timeout.
So both the Hoosiers and the Buckeyes using a timeout here in the first half. We'll have a big fourth down coming in a moment. Welcome back, everyone. Ohio State with a quick snap, and they get the first down on 4th down and 1. Carlos Hyde barrels through, and Ohio State a fresh set of downs.
Yeah, normally in that 4th down situation, maybe you punt that football. With this offense and how well they've been doing running the football and how this offensive line has come along, I really like that decision on 4th and short. You get Carlos Hyde in there to take his big body and move the pile to get a first down.
Another clap of the hands by Braxton Miller. And that puts Corey Brown behind him in the backfield. First man through is Hyde, and the big fella barrels down close to the 20-yard line. He took Jakari Alexander and Greg Heben for about a 10-yard ride.
Well, that's what we were talking about back in the first quarter, is missed tackles. You just can't afford to have them if you're playing defense for Indiana. They're just too fast and too physical in the running game for Ohio State.
Another quick snap for the Buckeyes, and Hyde. Decent gain on first down out to the 18-yard line.
Very similar in both offenses. When they hit a couple of big plays, when they get the first down and move the chains, they like to speed it up a little bit, try to catch that defense off guard. Now you're going to see them slow down a little bit. That's how Ohio State really changes up the tempo of the ball game, and they change up their personnel groupings.
Chris Fields comes into the game, one of the wide receivers for Ohio State. New tailback is Rod Smith. Smith, the sophomore from Fort Wayne, Indiana. This is Smith. Caught at the line of scrimmage. Griffin Dahlstrom with the tackle.
That's what you like to see out of a linebacker, is challenging the line of scrimmage, coming up to the line of scrimmage. It's going to be important for them to continue to play well defensively for Indiana. You can see how successful that Ohio State has been once they get into the red zone. Big down right here, though, for the Buckeyes. 3rd and 5. This is not a gimme by any means.
Five receivers set. Smith, the man in motion. Play clock winding down. Miller to the end zone. Incomplete. Heben rips it away, and a late flag comes in. Oh, that flag came in well after the play. And Corey Brown appears to like the decision.
Indiana brought some pressure. They brought a couple of linebackers, and what that does is it puts those corners and safeties up in man-to-man coverage.
There's no foul on the play for pass interference. It's been deemed the contact and timing were legal. Incomplete pass. 4th down.
So the Hoosiers catch a break.
You know, I think this is a good call by the officials, taking that flag away. That's good coverage right there. There wasn't a whole lot of contact. And right at the end, you see when Greg Heben turns around and he plays the football. That's what the officials want to see. Are you playing the receiver or are you playing the football? Heben turned around, looked back at the ball, and got his arm on it. I think that was good defense right there.
Second field goal attempt, Drew Basil. Knocked in a 35-yarder in the first quarter. This one is hooked badly. No good.
Talked about Ohio State's success in the red zone. Big time stop right there for the Indiana defense, getting a missed field goal.
Kevin Wilson got to be happy with the way his Hoosiers are playing.
We champions. Let's take it to the field. Let's take it to the field. I come through like a freight train, about to push the line back. Only see the gold line, don't matter if your line stack. Because I'm a soldier, you can see my face paint. Know that I'ma get mine by knowing that the rest can't. Y'all looking scared, man, better call a timeout. I'm so fresh, everything I run a fly route.
Ohio State a week ago hung 63 on Bo Pelini's Nebraska Cornhuskers. Right now, they're in a dogfight. Indiana on top of Ohio State, 14-10. Under 10 minutes to play, first half. Tevin Coleman now checks into the game at tailback. He swings out in this route. Kaufman under duress, buys some time, and completes the pass. Deweese Wilson has a first down. This is an Indiana team, went 3 and out each of their first 2 times with the ball. Didn't have the ball for more than a minute and a half combined in the first 2 possessions.
Yeah, definitely a game of momentum, and you can see it's on the side of the Hoosiers right now. Let's see if Kaufman can keep marching the team down the field.
Pass is tipped and incomplete. Second down and 10. And the coaching staff for Indiana says this whole up-tempo offense is all based on getting that first down.
Yeah, you got to get a first down. You not only got to get 1, you got to get 3 or 4. Otherwise, you're going to end up putting your defense back on the field quickly, and that's what wears down your defense. You can see Storm Klein reaches right up there at the last second, get his hands on that football.
Ohio State playing without Etienne Sabino. Broke his leg a week ago. He's going to be out at least 4 weeks. We've seen a lot of Joshua Perry so far in today's game. Slipping out of the backfield. This is Tevin Coleman. Tackle made close to the line of scrimmage. Jay, what's happening with this Ohio State defense?
I just overheard Coach Mike Vrabel talking to the defensive line for Ohio State. Says, don't give up the vertical seams in the run game. Spill it, meaning make the ball go outside to where your help is. That's why they're gashing us.
Now they are gashing touchdowns each of their last 2 times with the ball. This pass incomplete, looking for Nick Stoner, the speedster. But good defense played by the Buckeyes.
Yeah, there's 2 really good corners on this football team for Ohio State. Travis Howard and Bradley Roby, and both of them have gotten their hands on some interceptions. Got away with a little bit of that left arm on the hip right there. But it's a good job by that Ohio State defense getting a stop on 3rd down.
So the punt team comes on. Eric Toth. Low kick. Takes a bounce. On a hop picked up by Brown, and he's tackled immediately. Good special teams play. A punt of 40 yards, no return. We'll keep it here. 8:53 left here in the second quarter. Ohio State trailing Indiana by 4. Now Tuesday night here, the story of the 2002 Ohio State Buckeyes from the players and coaches that helped win the national title. It's an all-new Big Ten Elite 2002 Ohio State football presented by Chase Freedom. Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern, only on BTN. Craig Krenzel was not a beauty queen, man, but he got it done. A lot of comeback wins, throwing 4th down touchdowns to Michael Jenkins. Maurice Clarett, of course, a big part of that year's team. Last time the Big Ten has won a national championship. Braxton Miller keeps it. And he's rubbed down from behind out of the clothing with the tackle.
You know, what makes Braxton Miller such a good runner of the football is he's got vision like a running back. You know, a play like that is a great example. When he pulls it out, it's designed to go to the right side of the formation. He sees it's blocked. He comes back to the left-hand side, which is where Carlos Hyde went through the hole and almost acted like his lead blocker.
Pick up a 4. Nobody open. Now a dump down. Catch made by Stoneburner, his second, and it's a first down for Ohio State. So interesting, Jay Lehman, when you see that clap of Braxton Miller as he calls out his signals.
That's only a signal. He doesn't give the cadence, according to offensive Coach Herman, the offensive corner. The clap just says, hey, we're ready to snap the ball when you are. And then Corey Lindsley, the center, actually gives the cadence. And Coach Herman said the offensive line can hear that better than Braxton.
We can hear it up here. Up in the press box, you can hear that clap. On first down, Miller throwing deep right side, incomplete. Looking for his home run guy, Devin Smith. It'll bring up 2nd and 10.
Yeah, he was going there right from the start. I think that was a one-man designed route where he wanted to take a shot down the field. But I've been impressed by what I've seen from Antonio Marshall. Again, thrust into the action. He continues to have great man-to-man coverage. He's not letting people get too far behind him. because you know that Ohio State's going to try to take a couple of opportunities to see if he's ready to run with these Ohio State receivers.
And Kenny Mullen, normally one of the starters at corner. We haven't seen him so far. Instead, Antonio Marshall, number 28, his first college start. Miller keeps it. Maybe too quick for his own good there. Slips down, and it'll bring up 3rd down and long.
You got a chance to see David Cooper right there, ends up shadowing Braxton Miller in the hole. You know, a lot of times you see Braxton Miller end up making a move and linebackers miss, but David Cooper keeps it going, pedal to the metal. He's able to get him down on the ground.
3rd down and 8. Evan Spencer comes in as one of the wide receivers for the Buckeyes. Not much pressure. Pass is caught by Philly Brown. That's a 1st down for Ohio State.
Philly Brown's been really good for this Ohio State offense, especially when it comes to 3rd down situations. So many of his catches come when it's a 3rd down situation. They've got to move the chains. You can see him just going down there, making sure he secures that catch to continue this drive.
Had to really get down low to keep that ball off the turf. And they may take a little longer look at that one. Corey Brown had to reach behind him, and he juggled the ball briefly.
The previous play is under review. The ruling on the field was a completed pass.
Yeah, this is worth a second look, no doubt about it.
It's tough to tell in that shot right there whether or not the ball slipped out of his hands. This would be a pretty good look at it here.
It was really low when he touched it first. I don't know, partner.
Yeah, I think in that shot you saw right towards the bottom left, it looked like it might have popped out.
It may have skipped to him before it even got to his hands. Now, is there enough to overturn it? The call on the field is a catch and a 1st down for Ohio State.
Yep, right there. You saw the ball come out right there.
Yeah, with that angle, to me, that's enough to say no catch. Ruling on the field was a completed pass and a 1st down for Ohio State. Big part in today's game. Ohio State doesn't have to give the ball back. They're already down by 4.
A lot of times when they're taking an extra look at this, especially if they're going to reverse it, again, you can see right to the bottom right there is where that football,
Following the
to me,
review,
clearly looks
it's
like
been determined the pass is incomplete. The 4th down at the 45-yard line. Clock
So the
operator,
call is reversed, and the punt team will have to come on for Ohio State.
yeah, I was going to say, a lot of times when they're taking an extra look at it, they want to make sure that because they're going to have to reset the chains back to where the ball should have been. They want to make sure they've got the down and distance correct and the time on the clock. So a lot of times when they're taking that extra look, they want to make sure they've got all those details ironed out.
So Ohio State sends the punt unit on. This has been an adventure. Ben Buchanan has already had a punt blocked so far this evening. Nick Stoner back deep for the Hoosiers. Buchanan gets it off. And Stoner backs up to make the fair catch at the 13-yard line. The Hoosiers with the lead and the ball. Welcome back, everyone. Bloomington, Indiana. Indiana Hoosiers have been known to play some pretty good basketball over the years. Scott May, Kent Benson, the 76 Hoosiers. And man, they have been wonderful for so many years. Steve Alford, Isaiah Thomas. Moments ago, I talk about the past so much. How about the present and the future? Tom Crean, he's got a club this year. A lot of different publications and polls. Going to have them #1 going into the college basketball season.
Yeah, outstanding season they had a year ago and bring most of that roster back. And it's going to be exciting to watch them, the development of Cody Zeller, how he ends up to be for this Hoosier basketball team. It's going to be exciting to watch.
Just moments ago, the basketball team who had their first practice yesterday was announced. And as if the fans here at Memorial Stadium weren't jazzed enough. Football team on top of Ohio State by 4. Tevin Coleman trying to get to the edge, doesn't do it. Nice tackle made by Orion Johnson.
One of the things you don't want to get caught doing offensively for Indiana is running east and west. You can see Tevin Coleman continues to string this one out. There's just too much speed on this Ohio State defense, especially when they bring Orion Johnson, who's their third safety, started a lot of ball games with C.J. Barnett being injured. Don't want to go east and west against this team.
Derek, look at this. Zach Bourne, first time this season, he's getting play as a linebacker. Number 44, mainly a fullback in his Buckeye career, but with the injuries to Sabino and others, Bourne is on the field defensively, and he's involved in that tackle. It'll bring up 3rd down. Let's go down to the field. Jay Lehman is standing by with Tom Crean. Jay.
Here with Coach Crean. Coach, your team opened up with the first practice of the season yesterday. How'd it go?
I thought it was excellent. I thought our toughness was really good. Our conditioning was better than I thought it might be. And our attitude has just been phenomenal. These guys are really hungry, and it shows up in practice.
Thoughts on the Big Ten Conference this year?
Oh, I think for the last 3 years, it's been the best league in the country, and this year is as good as it's been. I mean, there's so many really good teams in this league. There's really nobody that you can look at and think that they're not going to be in the hunt. I mean, everybody has got great coaching. They've got some veterans, and most people are recruiting extremely well.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jay. And now Tom Crean. You know what? When you talk about college basketball coaches that are football fans, Tom Crean, Tom Izzo of Michigan State, they are at every single home game for their school.
Tom's in the Big Ten Conference. I'm seeing the theme right here. You know, he talked about Ohio State getting C.J. Barnett back in the lineup. He nearly had his hands on an interception right there, but that Ohio State defense buckles down to get a stop, get the football back.
Toth comes on, punted out of his own end zone, and the Buckeyes get it! Touchdown, Ohio State! Bradley Roby! There's a turn of events. Second block punt of the evening, and the first for Urban Meyer's Buckeyes.
Well, the one thing you'll notice when you watch special teams for Ohio State is they're going to be all starters that are on that unit. You can see Travis Howard, number 7, comes in from the left-hand side. That's just excellent technique right there. Right at the last second, he lays out, but he lays out at the block point, right where the punter is going to punt the football, and he gets his hands out at the last second. Great technique there on the punt block.
Extra point is good. And don't look now, Pete Johnson, but Bradley Roby's catching on you. That's 2 touchdowns in as many games for Bradley Roby. Had an interception for a touchdown last week against Nebraska. And here the blocked punt, the ball is loose, and Roby jumps on it for another touchdown.
Well, that's one of the things that Urban Meyer's done is he's made special teams such a priority. You want to play special teams. That's why you see so many of the starters and the fast guys on the team that are on that unit, because when they go after it, they want their best athletes on the field, guys that can get up, and they've got ball skills.
Urban Meyer has made special teams a priority throughout his head coaching career. 55 block kicks over the years, almost one every 2.5 games when he's been the head man. So Ohio State back on top by 3. Still 5:19 left to play here in our first half. Sudden change for the Buckeyes. Special teams unit putting a touchdown on the board. Derek, I think you've got the stat of the night. Give it to the folks at home.
Yeah, Ohio State since 2005, and especially when you got Urban Meyer at the helm, 17-0 when they block a punt. Now, we've seen Indiana block a punt as well, but you can see how much of a factor special teams is having in this ball game.
You block a punt, you win, at least on Urban Meyer's watch. Into the end zone, touchback ball at the 25.
Yeah, let's take another look at that block punt. You can see the guys selling out on the inside. Travis Howard comes in and makes a huge play in the ball game.
And I'd hazard a guess that both Travis Howard and Bradley Roby right now are trending on BTN Connect. You can follow the social media conversation about today's game. See who else is trending right now. Go to btn.com/connect. Bradley Roby, 2 touchdowns in 2 games as a quarterback. I pulled out Pete Johnson, old name from the 70s. He scored a whole bunch of touchdowns for the Buckeyes, even when playing with Archie Griffin. All right, the Hoosiers will try and quiet things down, get the momentum back. Kaufman, a quick toss. Catch is made. Isaiah Roundtree out of the backfield, crosses the 30, a pickup of 7. Roundtree had a blocked punt for the Hoosiers back in the first quarter. In the backfield, Hankins wraps up Stephen Houston. It's the first time we've called number 52's name.
Well, a lot of times we don't end up calling Jonathan Hankins' name because he's a guy that attracts so many double teams, so he's over there eating up blocks while you see other guys like John Simon making the plays.
True freshman Noah Spence coming in at a defensive end for Ohio State. He wears number 8 at the end of the line. Kaufman, incomplete. Wilson had it for a moment and has it ripped away by Bradley Roby.
You know, sometimes as a wide receiver, you know that you're going to end up taking a hit as soon as the ball gets to you. But again, I think this is a ball that Deweese Wilson would tell you that he's got to catch 10 times out of 10. But right at the last second, Bradley Roby coming in there. These defensive backs for Ohio State, they've always got ripping the ball or raking the ball out is how they call it on defense. That's always on the top of their mind. They want to make sure that if the guy catches it, they get the ball out of his hands.
Roby leads the Big Ten in passes defensed. Nice return by Corey Brown. He spins. He's got a lane. Left side. Gonna duck out of bounds. If it stands, it's a significant return, but there is a flag down close to the catch for Corey Brown. If it holds up, it'd be a 29-yard return for Corey Brown, but it looks like it's going the other way.
On the return, illegal block in the back. Number 2, Ohio State. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Now another thing for the special teams coach, Urban Meyer, to work on. Rod Smith, backup tailback, called for a block in the back.
You see Rod Smith, here he is right there. That's where the block in the back ends up being. A lot of times, as a punt return blocker, when you get to that point, just throw your hands up in the air and don't even block him, because your punt returner will likely make that guy miss. There's no reason to get called for a penalty, and all you got to do is go back 1 week to see the difference that Corey Brown can make with the 76-yard punt return for a touchdown against the Huskers.
So instead of a 29-yard return, the ball spotted at the 23-yard line. Hyde in the backfield next to Miller. This is Hyde, left side, and Hyde doing some dancing. Out across the 35 to the 39. Big gain for the junior from Naples, Florida.
There's so often when they delay that action a little bit, when it's a kind of a delay. You see how Braxton Miller rides it? Because so many people are keying on him as a ball carrier. that they start to say, okay, where's number 5? And then they stop paying attention to where number 34 is going, and then he comes at you with a full head of steam.
Hyde back to the sideline. Rod Smith re-enters the game. And Kevin Wilson, man, we need to time him in the 40-yard dash. The way he was running down the sideline to call timeout. He didn't like the look of that formation at all. We'll take a quick timeout. Back to Bloomington in a moment. .334 remaining here in our first half. Ohio State ranked 8th in the country on top of Indiana, but only by 3. 17-14 is our score. Stay tuned for the Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report. Dave, Jerry, Howard, and Glenn coming along from our Chicago studio with scores and highlights from a busy day around the Big Ten. Already 4 games in the books around the conference. Braxton Miller wants to throw. Running out of time. Oh, and he's hit. That's a borderline call. I'm sure Ohio State would like a little overzealous penalty on the knock out of bounds. David Cooper with the final shove.
I like how Braxton Miller didn't try to force anything down the field, because give that Indiana defense credit. Everybody was covered up. You see 34, Jakari Alexander was on Rod Smith. Right at the last second, I think he's still in bounds. I think his right foot was still in bounds. Defensive players, especially with Braxton Miller, they want to make sure that he gets out of bounds. He's got the ability to put his foot in the ground and get north and south.
Clock continues to move. 2nd and 8. This is Hyde. Nowhere to go. Jakari Alexander, Bobby Richardson with the stop. That'll bring up 3rd down.
Well, we talked about sometimes the delayed handoff works well. It also can work bad for you. Some indecision right there by Braxton Miller. When you're running any type of zone read, the biggest thing for a quarterback is you've got to make a decision and go with it. At the last second, you can't say, oh, I'm going to pull the football out, because now you're going to have a situation where maybe the running back doesn't clamp down on the football. So Braxton Miller has got to make a decision, whether it's pull it or give it to the running back.
Neither team has been particularly good on 3rd down. Looking for the bomb. Caught! Devin Smith! Touchdown, Ohio State! Devin Smith dropped a touchdown pass early in the first quarter, but Braxton Miller didn't give up on him.
I think this is the best thrown football I've seen from Braxton Miller all season. He hits Devin Smith in stride. That's not an easy thing to do when you got Devin Smith streaking down the sidelines. Coverage was okay, but when you get Devin Smith going vertical, it's going to be hard to keep up with him.
Basil, point after touchdown, up and in. Touchdown number 5 on the year for Devin Smith, his 9th career touchdown. And the Buckeyes have never lost when he has scored in a Buckeye game.
Again, you can see so much of this is the release off the line of scrimmage, and Marshall doesn't get any jam on Devin Smith. When you got a guy that's got that much speed and you're going to play in press coverage, you got to get hands on him. You got to disrupt the timing of the route. But then it was just a beautifully delivered pass by Braxton Miller, and he knew how good it was.
A couple of Ohio kids connecting there. Braxton Miller from Huber Heights. Devin Smith from Massillon. Speedway scoring drive. Drive took just 1 minute, 29 seconds, 4 plays, 77 yards.
You know, again, we talked about those big plays that the Indiana defense has given up, and you saw another one right there to Devin Smith that was able to get Ohio State the momentum back, especially as your first half is winding down. You just can't afford to give up those big plays.
As good as Devin Smith has been, he's got a long way to go before he is the most significant Buckeye from his high school. He's from Massillon, Washington. Paul Brown, the great head coach, is from Massillon, Washington. And of course, Chris Spielman, one of the finest linebackers in the history of this conference, is from that high school. Kevin Coleman, full head of steam, knocked down at the 16-yard line.
Some big plays here by Devin Smith in his career. This was last year against Wisconsin. I think most people remember that one. And then this one right here, that's probably the play of the year. That happened on our air here, right here on BTN. Goes up and snags that one with the right hand. Again, the consistency is one of the things that they've been talking about for Devin Smith, but he has got that big play ability. You can see so many different times this year against Cal, against Michigan State, and now we're seeing another one in this ball game today. He's got the ability to be a big play threat for you down the football field.
Well, Indiana catches a bit of a break. Personal foul call. Zach Domacone called for that personal foul. That's going to be 15 yards tacked on to the end of the run. So the ball now at the 31-yard line. Another mistake in the special teams game for Ohio State. Hoosiers trying to get some more points on the board before the half. They run Stephen Houston. Houston's had a nice first half, couple of touchdown runs. One of them a 59-yarder. Hoosiers taking their time. And another drop. Cody Latimer can't hang on. Travis Howard was in on the coverage. That's the fourth drop for Indiana.
But again, you see the reaction right there by Travis Howard. Those guys put their foot in the ground as soon as they recognized the route. I think he got shaken up a little bit on that play coming down.
Yeah, Duran Grant comes on, number 12, to replace him. Let's see if Indiana notices. Grant is lined up with Cody Latimer, top of your screen. Yep, and they go to that matchup, and it works. Latimer has the first down catch working against the guy who just came into the game, Duran Grant.
You know, we had Ohio State a few weeks ago, and Urban Meyer was telling us that Duran Grant is a guy that's got all the talent in the world, and he's had some experience. He actually started that game against UAB, but Indiana's going to try to take a couple of shots and see if he's ready.
Incomplete, second down. Tonight's United States Marine Corps leader of the game, Illinois senior center Will Maddie, academic All-American a year ago for Indiana. He's from Wheaton, Illinois. This is a guy that Kevin Wilson says he could not live without, making his 39th straight start. He has been the captain on the offense so far through the first 6 games for Indiana. Again, high looking for Latimer.
You know, Eric, you were talking about Will Maddie. It's so important to have not only a senior playing your center position, but when he's sandwiched by 2 sophomores and 2 freshmen, you need somebody that's going to hold down the fort, make sure everybody gets on the same page with their communication. So if there is one spot that you want to have the veteran, it's definitely at that center position.
Third down and 10. Travis Howard still hasn't returned to the game for Ohio State. Duran Grant still replacing him at one of the corners. Underneath, this is Wynn. Oh, and Wynn with a great move. Close to the first down marker, appears to be shot. What do you do now? If they don't get the first down, what do you do on 4th and 1?
Well, it's a nice play right here in space by Shane Wynn to be able to make 2 guys miss.
They're going to go for it. 4th down and 1.
I like the decision, Eric. You got just over a minute to play. 4th and short. See if you can't get a completion here. Keep the drive going.
Well, the play clock's at 0. They call a timeout. Play clock on the scoreboard was different than the clock on the field. And Indiana now just going to wait it out.
Offense number 2. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
So a little bit of confusion. Kevin Wilson just decides to take the penalty, get some yardage, and they'll punt it away.
Well, a lot of times with Indiana, they're not a team that huddles. So they're going to come back to the line of scrimmage. And at that point, as the play clock is coming down, the coaching staff is talking, saying, all right, is this a situation that we want to try to go for it? And you're seeing that Kevin Wilson doesn't want to maybe not get this conversion and then put Ohio State back on the field and maybe they get more points on the board before halftime. So I can understand his situation here.
Back for the Buckeyes, 10 for Brown.
Because the foul occurred under 1 minute with the clock running, Ohio State has opted for the 10-second runoff. Clock operator, please set the clock to 35 seconds. The clock will start on the ready for play.
So Urban Meyer deciding to get closer to the halftime mark. 35 seconds left in the first half, 4th down and 6. Buckeyes have blocked a punt already here in the second quarter. And now Indiana calls a timeout.
Indiana, third and final team timeout.
That's their final timeout. We have 10 seconds remaining here in the first half. And we're just a couple of Calvert Cheney jump shots away from Assembly Hall. There it is, one of the most venerable facilities in all of college basketball. And with that as a backdrop, let's take a look at tonight's Alumni Spotlight, brought to you by Liberty Mutual. How about the old left-hander? Calvert Cheney was just terrific. Over 2,600 points as a college player. Went on to wonderful success as an NBA player. Now he's come back. Currently, he is the Director of Basketball Operations, working under Tom Crean. Calvert Cheney was the Big Ten Player of the Year. He was the National Player of the Year in senior season 1993.
And what an asset he is for the guys that are playing on that IU basketball team. You talk about credibility. You don't have to look very far on your own coaching staff for a guy that knows how to get it done and how to get it done at a high level. So you can see why Tom Crean wanted to make sure he was a part of the staff.
Calvert Cheney was part of a great recruiting class back in the late 80s, and he was kind of an afterthought that turned in to be the star of stars. Toth gets it away. Buckeyes just going to stay away from the football. And if it stays in bounds, that'll be the final play of this first half. And it is. Triple zeros on the game clock. Punt of 49 yards. And the first half comes to an end. Urban Meyer and the Ohio State Buckeyes, they're in a tussle here in Bloomington. Special teams has been important for both sides. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned, everybody. The Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report coming your way. Dave, Jerry, Howard, and Glenn, they're coming up next.
Look into my eyes, I don't understand giving up. Look into my eyes, I don't understand giving up. Look into my eyes, I don't understand giving up. Look into my eyes, I don't understand giving up. I'm going long, all you gotta do is throw it up. This fella you got on me know that I'ma show him up. He can back 10 yards, I'ma still blow by. I know that he your fastest, but to me a slow guy. He don't even know how I became a force. I grew up with the attitude to win the only choice.
Well, the Indiana Hoosiers riding a 3-game losing streak. Ohio State, of course, they've won their first 6 games of the year, but it was a closely contested first half here at Memorial Stadium. Getting ready for the third quarter to start in just a moment. Before it does, let's take a look at our 5-hour energy first half stats.
Yeah, you can see Ohio State with 260 yards of total offense. If they continue that, they're on pace for 520 in the game. But you can see the block punts has been a big difference in time of possession. Indiana started really slow on offense, going on 3 and outs on consecutive drives, which really gave the football to Ohio State. They were able to wear down that clock quite a bit and keep the ball in their hands, put points on the board.
Those are your first half numbers. We should tell you about Braxton Miller. Derek, we told you first half of the game that he's on that short list of Heisman candidates. Didn't have a great first half. Of course, didn't score a touchdown, but he did throw for 123 yards. And Braxton Miller, what he does best is run the football. He ran for 48.
Yeah, 48 yards, and a lot of people will see the resume that he's put together and say, oh, Braxton Miller's only ran for 48 yards. But you'll also understand that in one play, he can go 70, and he's quickly over 100 yards.
Let's go down in the field and talk to Jay Lehman. Jay, what are the coaches thinking about right now?
Well, I talked to Coach Urban Meyer, and he was not happy about that blocked punt. Takes great pride in the special teams. He also wants to see his offensive line play a lot better and take control of the game like they have the previous 2 weeks. For Kevin Wilson, he just kept saying rhythm, rhythm, rhythm. They want that rhythm on offense. They want to convert third downs, and to convert third downs, Rack, Eric, you guys know they got to catch the ball.
Yeah, they had 4 drops in the first half. Whenever they seemed to be firing on all cylinders, the drop would set them back.
Yeah, when you're a passing offense, when that's what you do the best, you just can't afford to have your wide receivers put the ball down on the turf. You're not going to be able to find that consistency to be able to put those third down conversions together and be able to move the chains and be able to move at that pace of play that Indiana's offense likes to do.
Derek, we should mention that when we talked to the coaches at Indiana, both Kevin Wilson and his offensive coordinator, Seth Luttrell, they both mentioned that even though they really liked the progress of Cameron Coffin, they thought there was a good chance that Nate Sudfeld would get into the game, not as necessarily because Kaufman was playing poorly, but just because they really like his talent.
Yeah, very similar skill sets. I think the only thing that differentiates these guys is about 3 inches in height, but they're about the same type of person. They're not mobile quarterbacks. So we'll keep an eye out if number 7 Sudfeld comes into the ball game for the Hoosiers.
Into the end zone, Tevin Coleman takes an 8-touchback. Ball will be spotted at the 25-yard line. Ohio State, they're banged up defensively. Ryan Shazier, he's played every snap so far in today's game defensively, but he's a guy who has been banged up through the first 6 games. Of course, Etienne Sabino has not played today, won't play for the next 3 weeks because of a broken leg. The Buckeyes getting C.J. Barnett back. He was solid in the first half of play. Cameron Kaufman remains in the game. The sophomore from Peculiar, Missouri, starts in the shotgun. Robertson in motion. Kaufman keeps it. Design pass underneath to the tight end Bolzer. Incomplete. That would be another drop. Bradley Roby forced the drop. That's the 5th dropped pass of the day.
We've seen a number of times tonight that these Ohio State corners have really recognized the play, put their foot in the ground, and came downfield. And you see this often with corners when they're going to, they see a tight end coming at them at about 245, 250 pounds. They're going to go down towards their ankles and knees.
Bulls are a little bit gimpy right now, but stays in the game in the slot bottom part of your screen. Kofi Hughes was very quiet in the first half. Nice catch made. Latimer. First down, Indiana. Twisting grab, tackle made by Barnett.
That was a nice catch, and it was great concentration because Orion Johnson, number 19, jumped up in the air, almost got his hands on it. A lot of times when a wide receiver sees that in front of his face, it can distract him a little bit. I like the concentration by Latimer to make sure he hauled in that football.
Kaufman is going to try the right side. This is Kofi Hughes. Did he catch it? Yes. Just mentioned that Hughes hadn't been involved at all, but he catches it for 39 yards, working against the backup, Durand Grant.
Yeah, Kofi Hughes has had some pretty good success against Ohio State, almost 150 receiving yards in that game last year, and coaches feel like he's got this big play of ability. He's physical, and you got a chance to see it on that 50-50 ball right there, 50% chance he could bring it in, or the defender, and he goes up and brings it down.
Kaufman, nobody home, and a flag comes in late. That could be against Durand Grant once again in the game only because of the injury in the first half to Travis Howard.
Yeah, he got shaken up there towards the end of the second quarter and not coming back into the game here in the third, so we're seeing a lot of Durand Grant.
Pass interference, defense number 12. Spot foul, automatic, first down.
So now Grant will be taken out on successive plays, gives up a 39-yard pass, and then is called for pass interference.
Oh, you can see right there the contact that comes against Cody Latimer just can't happen, especially when the ball gets thrown in his direction. It's easy for the official to be looking right there and make that call.
So Grant comes out, and Travis Howard, the starter, now back in. First time in the second half that he's on the field. Stephen Houston inside the 10. Jay, what's the latest with these injured Buckeyes?
Well, I talked to the Ohio State trainers, and both Bryant and Travis Howard are banged up. He said the return was questionable. Now they're both out there now, though.
Out in space, what a tackle by Ryan Shazier. That'll bring up 3rd down and long.
Shazier's just been such a pleasant surprise, I don't know if you call him a surprise. He had a pretty good freshman season last year, but you want to see if he can be able to follow it up, and he's averaging about 10 tackles a game, so he's extremely active in that linebacking core.
Hoosiers can get a 1st down without scoring a touchdown. Lined against the 1. Hoffman steps up underneath Bolzer, and Shazier brings him down at the 5. Field goal unit will come on for Indiana.
And see Kaufman, he's the type of quarterback that wants to be able to scramble a little bit just to keep his eyes downfield and be able to extend the play. You're not going to see him running the football, him or Sudfeld. They're just not running style quarterbacks. But I like how once the protection breaks down and they have to get outside the pocket, he continues to keep his eyes downfield.
The most accurate kicker in Indiana history, Mitch Ewald, will come on. Should be a chip shot, 23 yards. So the Hoosiers get the opening kickoff of this 3rd quarter. Have a big play with Kofi Hughes on a 39-yard catch. That sets up a field goal. And Indiana only down by 7. Welcome back, everyone. We're in Bloomington, Indiana, and this entire state of Indiana. They like their auto racing. This was the scene last night. Sped up a little bit. But why not? Engines are revved up and ready. We've seen a lot of offense in today's game. We already have 41 combined points. We're just getting started here in this 3rd quarter. Ohio State set to receive it for the first time after giving up a field goal to the Hoosiers. Ewald to kick it away from the 35-yard line. Another chance for Rod Smith. And the big fella barrels out across the 25. That's a big man returning kicks, 228 pounds, out across the 30. Can't imagine that'd be a whole heck of a lot of fun to tackle with a full head of steam.
Yeah, especially when you're the kicker, Mitch Ewald, and it gets to the point where you got to make the tackle and you see a 230-pound running back coming at you with a full head of steam. Not one of those guys, the kicker, that works on tackling drills too often.
So Ohio State sends Braxton Miller. Ball to 33-yard line. Miller does not have a rushing touchdown so far in this game. First play from scrimmage for the Buckeyes, and Miller splits the seam. Braxton in the open field. What kind of speed does he have? Braxton Miller, touchdown! This time he would not be caught, and just like that, over 100 yards for Braxton Miller.
We just got done talking that at halftime he had 48 yards rushing, but he had the ability to break one 70 yards at any point to get over 100 yards. 67, I think, is close enough. And Greg Heben, he's a very good athlete for the Indiana Hoosiers. You're just not going to be able to catch him in open space.
With that 67-yard touchdown run, Braxton Miller has now recorded 115 yards. Yet another 100-yard game, his 8th of his college career. Extra point is true. Lead swells to 14 for Ohio State.
Again, just that simple zone read that Ohio State likes to run. But as you can see, Hireman come through the hole. Look at this hole that opens up right there. There's just way too much space for any of the defenders, and Mark Murphy sees him coming through, but he puts his foot in the ground, and it just creates separation, and Greg Heben's just not going to have enough speed to be able to catch him from the backside.
Braxton Miller has run for over 100 yards in every Big Ten game so far this year. While we have a moment, let's go down to the field and check in with Jay Lehman, who's standing by with Indiana Athletic Director Fred Glass.
Fred, you've done a lot to improve the atmosphere on game day here at Hoosier Stadium. Talk about what's going on back here.
Well, Jay, we feel like if we want to get football where we want it to be at Indiana, we have to make investments. So we invested in the north end zone, the Wilkinson Strength and Conditioning Center, one of the biggest scoreboards in the Big Ten. And this is a little idea I had when I was a kid. I used to roll down this hill and have a lot of fun back here. We decided to institutionalize it a little bit, have a replica field, and start building Hoosier fans at an early age.
Coach, talk a little about Kevin Wilson and the job he's done thus far in his second year.
Yeah. I love Kevin Wilson. I think he brings the toughness and the football credentials to really bring us to where we want to be. He's attracted a first-rate staff. We've not only invested in facilities, but we've invested in people, doubling the salaries of the head coach and the staff to bring a grade A staff. 155 years of coaching experience, 67 bowl games, 27 BCS games, 10 national championship games. There have been there, done that group, and we're going to turn it around here at Indiana.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it.
That's good stuff. Thank you, Jay. And Fred Glass is not the only person who thinks highly of Kevin Wilson. Urban Meyer, earlier this week when he was asked about the direction of the Indiana Hoosiers, he said Kevin Wilson, he's got a real chance. He's one of the great minds in this game, and he's got the energy and the talent and the staff to make it happen here in Indiana. And these are just some of the things that are going on here at Indiana. It's not just all at Memorial Stadium. There's going to be a new baseball facility. They're in progress right now, a new softball facility not too far away. And in recent years, Assembly Hall, the basketball home, has been renovated and is now absolutely wonderful. So, nice time to be involved with Indiana Hoosier athletics, but right now they're up against it. Football team down by 14. They need a sustained drive here, Rack.
Yeah, they really do. We saw early on in the ball game that this offense got on the field and they got stopped early. They got to be able to put together a long drive, get a couple of first downs, and get the ball out of the perimeter. They got some really good receivers here that can make some plays in space, but between the drop passes and just the inconsistencies on offense altogether, they haven't been able to put together multiple long drives.
And by our count, 5 dropped passes for Indiana. Kaufman, little high, incomplete, looking for Deweese Wilson. Travis Howard, who was out for a chunk of this game, is on the field right now. He was the defender on that pass play.
Yeah, again, you saw a little bit of a drop right there as well, and Deweese Wilson's a guy that's been around this program now. He's a redshirt junior, so he's got the experience to be able to go up, the ball's thrown over his head to be able to make a play.
Number 44, Zach Bourne, once again in the game at linebacker for Ohio State. John Simon forces the early throw from Kaufman, passes high and incomplete. Again, looking for Wilson, this time C.J. Barnett on the coverage.
Again, you're seeing another 3 and out right here as Michael Bennett, John Simon are pressuring Cameron Kaufman, and you know this one was overthrown. There's not a chance that Deweese Wilson's going to be able to go up and make that play, but Ohio State continues to put the pressure on from that defensive front to make Kaufman uncomfortable.
3 and out forced by the Buckeye defense. Corey Brown back deep, expecting this punt from Toth. Buckeyes may have gotten a finger on it. Kick is low and out of bounds at the 46-yard line. That was Bradley Roby streaking in from the right side. I don't know if he got a hand on it, but it's just a 31-yard punt.
Yeah, if you're the punt team for Indiana, you got to make sure you know where number 1 and number 7 is every single time they're out on the football field, and you know that they're bringing the pressure up front, but these guys got so much speed coming out from the perimeter.
Timeout on the field. Indiana on defense. When we come back, Buckeyes with the football.
Let's go back to that last Ohio State touchdown. Watch the umpire right here. Sometimes they get caught in the line of fire. You'll see right as Braxton Miller comes through the hole, he ends up running into Jakari Alexander right there. I think Thad Matta might be trying to find a place for him on the Ohio State basketball team. That was a pretty good pick right there.
There's the pick, and Braxton did the rolling. Rolled in for 67 yards in the touchdown. Now it's Carlos Hyde's turn. Look at Hyde down to the 16-yard line. 29 more yards for Ohio State.
Yeah, this is exactly what happened last week for Ohio State. In the second half, they just started to wear down Nebraska in the running game, and you're starting to see it again. The previous drive, it was the big play by Braxton Miller. Now it's Carlos Hyde. This is where Ohio State operates at its best, when you get both of these guys just wearing down an opposing defense.
Another carry for Carlos Hyde. Remember in the first half, Braxton Miller and the Buckeyes were on the field for over 20 minutes of playing time. It's that quick strike offense for Indiana that doesn't give their defense much of a break. Miller, the keeper, breaks the first tackle and steps out of bounds close to the first down marker. Trying to make the tackle, Mark Murphy. That's the second time we have seen him down on the field. Murphy, an important part of this Hoosier defense. He makes all the defensive calls and adjustments.
Again, you're just going to continue to see running game by Ohio State when they start to have this much success, and Murphy comes in right at the end trying to get Braxton Miller down on the ground. It must have taken an awkward hit there. Watch right at the end, you'll see 37 coming in to make the play. You know, a lot of times when a defender comes up to make a play on a ball carrier, they go low, they go towards the thighs and the knees. Sometimes their helmet will end up hitting their thigh or the knee and get shaken up a little bit.
Murphy, one of 17 different Hoosiers that were recruited out of Ohio high schools. Murphy is from the Akron area, went to St. Vincent, St. Mary. You may have heard of that. Some guy who used to play for the Cleveland Cavaliers was from that high school. While we have a moment, let's take a look at the results of our Twitter poll. We asked who will pass for more yards today, and wow, overwhelming majority of fans saying Braxton Miller, 92%.
I wonder if they voted before or after that long pass play to Devin Smith. Might have seen that long completion and said, I think it's going to be Braxton Miller.
Murphy walking to the Hoosier sideline. Alexander Webb, number 27, has replaced him. So it's 3rd down and 1. First man through is Hyde, has a first down. It's just classic Ohio State football. Give it to the biggest man you got.
Yeah, just let him have a little bit of patience and wait for the play to develop, and then follow the big guys up front that, especially here in this third quarter, have really started blocking well.
Miller keeps it, nowhere to go. Oh, makes a couple of eyes miss. And it's fortunate just to get back to the line of scrimmage. Alexander Webb, who came on to replace Murphy, eventually brings him down.
Seen a lot of different guys in that Indiana secondary that have been thrusted into game time today, but there's not a lot of people that end up getting Braxton Miller hemmed up in open space like that. They give credit to Webb to get him down on the ground.
Miller, the keeper, now throws a dart into the end zone. Was it picked off? It is interception, Greg Heben. And the turnover gives the ball back over to Indiana. What great hands for Heben.
You know, anytime you get down into the red zone, even inside the 5-yard line, just, you know, ball security is so important. You can see right at the last second, Braxton Miller tries to throw that one in there. To me, that was clearly an interception right there by Greg Heben. Goes down, basically acts like a wide receiver to bring that football in. Excellent defensive play, and that's just a bad decision right there by Braxton Miller. Either throw that one out of the back of the end zone or run it.
They say Greg Heben is the best athlete on this football team. He may be the best athlete in this entire campus. Used to be a member of the baseball team. He's an outstanding dunker on the basketball court. Now makes a tremendous sliding interception to get the ball back over to Indiana. Kaufman wants to throw, nobody home, runs it. And he's down at the 24-yard line.
A good decision right there. So often in college football, you don't see quarterbacks use the slide to their advantage, and that's what you got to do to keep yourself healthy. And he's able to make it a positive game, picks up 4 yards, and keeps his health in the same breath.
Another fake handoff to Houston. Kaufman right side now. Storm Klein right in his face and forces the pass out of bounds. Third down.
You know, Kofi Hughes just stayed along the sideline right there as Kaufman rolled out. And, you know, most teams work on scramble drill, and how it works is 2 of the guys that are deeper come up, and if you're shallow, you go long. I wasn't quite sure why Kofi Hughes just stayed on the sideline. Either you got to come back to the quarterback to help him out, or go deep and see if you can create separation.
Shane Wynn, the speedster, has the ball. No one's going to catch him. Wynn down the left sideline. Touchdown, Indiana. Just when you think they're buried, the Hoosiers do something special.
Well, Greg Heben deserves as much credit as Cameron Kaufman and Shane Wynn do on this play. And you said nobody's going to catch him, Eric. He reportedly ran a 4.37 40-yard dash time in the offseason. You get him in open space with a couple of yards ahead of the defense, I don't think anybody's going to catch him.
Smallest man on the Indiana Hoosiers, just 5'7", 157 pounds. But Shane Wynn coming up big. Native of Cleveland, Ohio, scoring a touchdown against his hometown team. So the Indiana Hoosiers only down by 7. 8:40 left to play. Shane Wynn with the biggest play of the game. Shane Wynn, a long touchdown catch and run. Let's take a look at our Speedway scoring drive. 3 plays, 80 yards. 44 seconds, and Indiana only down by 7, 31-24.
Want to pay attention to the right-hand side of the screen as Cody Latimer is going to come in, and he's almost going to act like a shield. There he is over on the right-hand side there. He's going to come in. He's actually going to be like a screen. I'm not sure if Storm Klein's going to be able to catch him anyway, but it kind of blurred the vision right there for Christian Bryant as well. And we talked about once he got in the open field, nobody was going to be able to catch him.
And the guy chasing him, Christian Bryant, should have known better. He was a teammate of Shane Wynn for the Glenville Tarblooders, east side of Cleveland. Bryant had to know that Shane Wynn was no match for him, speed-wise. Spinning kickoff. Rod Smith fields it, takes a knee. It'll be Ohio State ball at the 25-yard line. Derek, should there be a sense of worry on this Ohio State sideline right now? They can't seem to shake Indiana.
You know, I don't know if I'd go as far as sense of worry, but they just got to stick to what they're doing because they've shown that they've got the ability to take it down the field. They just had the unfortunate turnover down in the end zone, bad decision by Braxton Miller. But so far here in the third quarter, they've gone down the field at their own will. But he just got to make better decisions with the football.
245 total yards for the sophomore. And Hyde. Nothing doing. Ryan Phillips has had a nice day. It's one of the Ohio kids from the Youngstown area. An Indiana team that generally struggles mightily against Ohio State. Last year, the Buckeyes winning 34-20 in Columbus. Buckeyes had 3 different 100-yard rushers in that game. Boone Herron, Braxton Miller, and Carlos Hyde. Again, Hyde, nothing doing. Jakari Alexander with the tackle.
You know, the Indiana defense defenses recognize that Ohio State's been going heavy with the run in their play selection, so you're starting to see guys start attacking the line of scrimmage a little bit more. Alexander's flying up to the line of scrimmage. The previous play, you saw Ryan Phillips with a nice physical play at the line. This is where Ohio State's going to have to make the defense pay in the passing game, otherwise they're going to continue to crowd the line of scrimmage.
Miller airs it out, has a man, it's Smith. Incomplete. Flag comes down. Ryan Williams came late to the party and may have gotten a piece of Devin Smith.
Looks like Braxton Miller got shaken up a little bit on the play, took a hit towards the end.
Pass interference. Defense number 7. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Buckeyes get bailed out on a 3rd down.
You know, a lot of times coaches will say on these deep plays, as long as the quarterback gets the ball out there far enough, 2 of the 3 things that can happen are good for the offense, either a catch or a pass interference, and that's exactly what Indiana got against Ohio State, and the pressure coming in against Braxton Miller. When he's going to stick his foot in the ground and make this throw, he's going to take a hit right there by Adam Replogle.
294 pounds of Adam Replogle landing on the chest of Braxton Miller. Now Rod Smith in the game at tailback. They give it to him, and Smith running hard. Crosses the 50, tackled by Alexander.
You know, one of the things I've seen on film watching Rod Smith that I really like about him is that he attacks the line of scrimmage. He's not one of those guys that's going to run east and west. I like how he makes up his mind, he puts his foot in the ground, and he gets upfield, and he goes fast. There it is again.
Another chance for Smith, the Indiana native. Spins down to the 35.
You'll see the little sidestep or the little jump cut that you see from a lot of running backs. But again, he sees it's clogged up, puts his foot in the ground, and then right there he gets north and south. That's what I like to see. A lot of times running backs, when they make that jump cut, they'll start running east and west, make one cut and go. If there was one thing that I learned in my time in the NFL is that the running back position, you make one cut and you get north and south. The more that you start shaking, that gives the defense a chance to recover.
Smith will catch a blow. He's on the sideline. Carlos Hyde replaces him. Buckeyes trying to get the 7 back that they just gave up a moment ago. And they call timeout.
Timeout. Ohio State. 30-second timeout. First team timeout.
That's the first timeout called by Urban Meyer and the Buckeyes here in the 2nd half. Well, we have a moment to take a look at tonight's Quicken Loans quarterback comparison.
You can see both the quarterbacks are slightly under 50% passing, which no offensive coordinator wants to see that. And Cameron Coffin really came on, especially when he hit that big play on the previous possession right there to Shane Wynn for the touchdown. But Braxton has just been so impressive, and we've talked about it earlier in the game, especially in the running game. Right here, he gets into the open field, and he just makes so many nice plays, and this was right here. Again, I talked about it earlier in the game, one of the best throws I've seen from him this entire season, which is a defense. You don't want to see this right here. Him getting into open field right down the middle of the formation with a full head of steam.
After the timeout, 1st down and 10. Miller throws deep into the end zone, over everyone's head, looking for his big play guy. Devin Smith, Brian Williams had him locked up in coverage.
I like him taking a shot down the field right there, and if he would have seen that there was just one deep safety back there, he actually could have led Devin Smith a little bit more towards the right side of the end zone. There was no coverage back there, but he kind of threw it straight down the middle. If he throws it a little bit more towards the right and let Devin Smith run towards it, he might have had a chance to catch it in the end zone.
Keeper. Miller gets a block and hit out of bounds, and he's hit late out of bounds. Alexander Webb's going to be called for the personal, and Braxton Miller is still down on the Buckeye sideline. Braxton Miller still down on the Buckeye sideline, and Kenny Guyton hurriedly throwing some warm-up passes for Ohio State.
Following the play, that ball late hit, out of bounds, number 27, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Now Miller's up. That's good to see.
Such a difficult situation for a defender because you know how elusive Braxton Miller can be, but you just have to understand there's certain times when you got to be able to pull off and realize that you just can't afford to hit him out of bounds and give this team another 15 yards.
Now for at least one play, Kenny Guyton's going to be the Buckeye quarterback. Redshirt junior from Houston. Carlos Hyde inside the 10.
Now we've seen Ohio State a couple of times this year, and see Urban Meyer's reaction to Braxton Miller on the sidelines, lobbying for that flag. But Tom Herman was telling us earlier in the year that one thing that was great for him is the fact that when Kenny Guyton comes into the game, he's such a smart quarterback. He doesn't have any of those keep me awake at night type moments because he has so much comfort that he can be able to run this offense if he comes into the game.
Flag down. And that play was blown dead before it even got started.
False start, 78 offense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Right at the last second here, watch Jakari Alexander come in and get a hit on Carlos Hyde right there. He's a physical linebacker. That's one of the things that the coaches talked about it. Jay Lehman actually asked him, who's your most physical player? And there was no hesitation in Jakari Alexander.
Second down and 9. Corey Brown behind Guyton in the backfield. They're going to play a little option inside. This is Hyde. What a well-designed play. Touchdown, Ohio State. A little inside shuttle pass. Guyton finds Hyde for 6.
I think that's a pretty good example right there of the comfort and confidence that they have in Kenny Guyton, his ability to come into the game and be able to execute this offense, and it doesn't change at all. It's the exact same offense. He's a very athletic quarterback, doesn't maybe have the speed that Braxton Miller does, but there's not too many quarterbacks in America that do.
Extra point is good. Ohio State, 7 more on the board. They've now got 38 points. And they get a touchdown pass from a quarterback not named Braxton Miller. Touchdown pass on the little shuttle forward to Carlos Hyde. Guyton, his first touchdown pass of the year.
Well, this defense is just thinking option, and then they throw a little wrinkle with the shovel pass inside. Executed excellent. As you get to see Andrew Norwell coming across to make a nice kick-out block. Here he ends up coming through right here.
He got 2 guys.
Yeah, keep your eye on him as he comes through the hole. It's 1. Jakari Alexander gets blocked as well, and Carlos Hyde does the rest of the work.
Well, that's what you like to see if you're Ohio State. Your backup quarterback comes in and you don't skip a beat. Take a look at the Speedway scoring drive. 8 plays, 75 yards, and Ohio State another touchdown.
And quietly, Ohio State just continues to get at their averaging 38.5 points a game. There they are, 38 points again. This is an offense that might be struggling in the first half, but once they get on a roll, man, they've got the ability to put some points on the board.
Buckeyes have never lost a game when they've scored 35 points. Just amazing. On the return, Tevin Coleman down the right side. Coleman pushed out of bounds, but a great return for Indiana. Whenever you think the Hoosiers are buried, or at least close to being buried, they just make something special happen. A return of 63 yards.
Well, it looked like Adam Griffin, number 9, no, excuse me, that's Verlon Reed right there, number 8, had an opportunity coming from the outside in on contain. Great job of keeping the returner inside. You just got to make the play in space, and Orion Johnson comes out late and makes the push out of bounds. Excellent return, exactly what Indiana needed right after Ohio State put a touchdown on the board.
Kevin Coleman leading the Big Ten in kickoff return average. Gets great starting field position for the Hoosiers. Kaufman. Catch is made by Latimer, and it takes 2 Buckeyes to bring him down. Travis Howard, slow to get up.
I like that toughness right there by Cody Latimer. So often you see those wide receivers catch the ball on the sidelines and they run out of bounds. Instead, he turns back inside, gets his pads down to deliver a blow.
Kaufman with time, dangerous pass. Oh, that was almost another interception and possibly a touchdown for Bradley Roby.
Again, these Ohio State defenders, they got such great instincts. You can see right there, C.J. Barnett makes a nice break on the play, and then Bradley Roby, both those guys had an opportunity to get their hands on an interception.
Is that one picked off? Christian Bryant, did he make the catch? He does! Interception, Ohio State. Second interception of the year for Bryant.
Nearly an interception on the last play, and I'm not quite sure what Kaufman was trying to get accomplished here. That ball was severely underthrown. Jay, what'd you see from down on the sidelines?
A ball, but it looked like the ball hit the ground. I think he trapped that at the last second. I think it hit the ground. I think they're going to overrule this.
Jay with the good angle down on the field. For now, it's Ohio State ball. Ruling on the field was interception. We'll take a long look. Replay official Steve Newman.
You can see right towards the end there, that ball looks like it slips out from the right hand of Christian Bryant.
You need indisputable video evidence.
I mean, look at how far the ball was underthrown of his receiver, Shane Wynn. Is probably 3 or 4 yards underthrown.
Interception. Interceptions are rarities for Kevin Wilson's team. On the year, just 2 interceptions as a team.
It's been one of the strong points of this passing game is they haven't turned the football over. Take one more look and see if you can see this ball coming out right at the end. Looks like he has possession there, but right at that point right there, looks like the ball's starting to slip out just a little bit.
Official still sorting this one out. It would be Ohio State's first interception of the evening. This is a team that came into the game tops of the Big Ten with 10 interceptions through their first 6 games. Big play for the Hoosiers as they were driving against this Buckeye defense, down by 14 with just 4:03 remaining here in this third quarter.
Anytime a player gets his hands on the ball, you'd like to get him up and see him sell it to the official. That's what you saw from Ohio State defense.
Following the video review, it's been determined the pass hit the ground. It's incomplete. The ball will be placed at the 27-yard line. Third down.
So, wipe the interception off the board. And Indiana still has possession.
And it's still a third and long situation, and I know that the discussion on the sideline between Kevin Wilson and his offense was, all right, guys, if we do get this football back, we've had 2 consecutive plays where we almost threw an interception. Let's make sure we make good decisions with the football, and if we don't get the first down, let's at least give ourselves an opportunity to put points on the board.
Buckeyes send 4 pass rushers. Houston can't make the catch coming out of the backfield. Orion Johnson would have been there to make the tackle immediately if the catch had been made.
John Simon continued to bring the pressure, and anytime you're going to run that screen pass, you got to deliver a strike to your running back. Got to be right in between his numbers when he's running sideways like that. You can't get him turned around. There's no way that he's going to be able to catch it and stick his foot in the ground and make a play. And as you mentioned, Eric, Orion Johnson was in excellent position to make a tackle.
So it'll be a 44-yard attempt for Mitch Ewald. He's already made 1 field goal so far this evening. No problem. Ewald, 3 more for Indiana. Derek, if we can go back a couple of minutes in time, how quick was Jay Lehman's call of incomplete pass? he had her spot on.
Down on the sideline, he's got that angle that we don't have up here at the press box. Excellent call down there, partner. You know, kickers, Mitch Ewald, just automatic. No expression right there. Guys, I knew I had it. You got it like that. Hey, having an experienced kicker is so big for any team. How many times have you seen kicking situations where it'd be extra points or field goals be the difference in a ball game? Indiana's got a lot of comfort in the fact that if one comes down to the end of the game, that their kicker has got the experience to put it through the uprights.
It was another scoring drive for Indiana in which they didn't even take a minute off the game clock. Hoosiers have been much improved offensively this year. You just saw at least 24 points in every game so far this season. Big fella, Rod Smith. And he's tackled before he can get a full head of steam. Ohio State will take over at the 21-yard line. Coming up after our game and after the final drive, it's a special presentation of The Journey. BTN, of course, gives you all access and all the teams you love. Don't miss The Journey, Big Ten Football 2012. Brought to you by Best Buy, immediately following the drive on BTN. Still a lot of football to be played here, though. 3:48 left here in the third quarter. Braxton Miller, who was out for the end of the last drive, back in out of the shotgun for the Buckeyes. And Miller pushed out of bounds. Griffin Dahlstrom with the tackle.
Again, that's a win for your defense. Anytime you get Braxton Miller starting to run towards the sidelines, how many times throughout the season and tonight the big plays have happened when he gashes you right down the middle of the football field. If you're Dahlstrom or Cooper or Alexander, you want to try to force Braxton Miller to run east and west along the line of scrimmage.
Stoneburner. Tackled by Heben. Stoneburner hasn't been as big of a factor as we thought he might be coming into the season.
Yeah, hasn't caught a pass in the last 3 games up until tonight. He's quietly having a pretty good game, though. And I think it's just been an adjustment for him moving out to that wide receiver position, trying to figure out how he gets open when he's lined up in the slot.
Power formation, and the Buckeyes have the first down and more. Tied out to the 50-yard line.
34 Carlos Hyde on the third.
Again, we just continue to see missed tackles. Indiana, when you're coming up on Carlos Hyde, you got to make sure you keep your eyes open, and you got to get your feet in the ground. You got to bring your hips. You can see Heben misses a tackle coming in from the secondary right there. Just too much strength and power by Carlos Hyde to come in and try to expect to bring him down with an arm tackle.
pick up a 3, maybe 4 for Hyde. There have been a whole heck of a lot of tailbacks in Ohio State history that have been built like Carlos Hyde. 6 feet, 232 pounds. Keith Byers, Antonio Pittman, Beanie Wells, Raymond Harris. That's a classic Ohio State running back for you right there. Buckeyes now with 300 yards right on the nose, rushing the football. Rod Smith into the game. Ball's loose on the ground. Buckeyes keep it. It's the quarterback, Miller, who saw it first and jumps on it.
Yeah, excellent recognition right there. And Rod Smith is a guy that has had a little bit of a reputation of getting careless with the football. And you can just see he's trying to move it into his right arm, and he drops the ball as he's trying to make a ball switch. I like the recognition there of your quarterback, Braxton Miller, though, paying attention to the play and getting back on top of the football.
Immediately, Smith sent to the sideline, 3rd down and 5. Blitz is on, it's picked up nicely. Out route, catch made by Brown, 1st down Buckeyes. Offensive line's been playing well as of late. They picked up that blitz beautifully.
Well, you talk about how important Corey Linsley has been for the offensive line at that center position. He sees this blitz coming. Watch Corey Linsley, 71. There he is right there. He ends up seeing that blitz come by Griffin Dahlstrom. He picks it up. That's enough right there to give Braxton Miller enough time to get the football out of his hands to Philly Brown.
Miller again, deep ball. Incomplete. Devin Smith had his fingers on it, couldn't bring it in. Braxton Miller is looking at the other scoreboard, other end of the field, just to see what happened. This is what happened. Should have been caught.
Touchdown pass right there. It's another touchdown if Devin Smith just concentrates on this football. He sees it come all the way to his hands, and he tucks it away. It's another touchdown. I like the progression of Braxton Miller. He first took a look down the middle for his tight end, realized his tight end was covered up. The coverage allowed him to take a shot down the field. Devin Smith just got to catch the football.
Another blitz picked up nicely. Miller running out of time. Gets Hyde out of the backfield. And he lunges forward to the 21. Another 1st down.
You know, that's the next progression of this offense in Braxton Miller. That's what I think he needs to do more often. Not that running the football is bad by any means for the Ohio State offense, but him continuing to keep his eyes down the field and just getting a little check down to Carlos Hyde is such an important play for them to move the chains.
Braxton Miller and the Ohio State offense will have a chance to catch their breath. They're going to head down to the other end of the field, and we'll begin our 4th quarter in a moment. Ohio State, they've had their ups, they've had their downs. Right now they're leading by 11, 15 minutes left. The 8th-ranked team in the country, the Ohio State Buckeyes, they have been tested through 3 quarters. Ohio State on top of Indiana, 38-27. As we begin the 4th quarter, Ohio State, this will be their 9th play of this drive. 1st down and 10, ball's at the 23-yard line. Braxton Miller and Carlos Hyde, both over 100 yards on the ground. Hyde, right side. Hyde, inside the 10. Still on his feet. Did he get there? Yes! Touchdown, Ohio State! This guy is a beast.
You know, Ohio State went with that little quick huddle that they do, and they don't huddle very often, so Indiana had a hard time getting their defense set. Once Ohio State broke the huddle, they get up to the line of scrimmage so fast and get the snap off. That defensive front didn't know where to get set up.
Previous play is under review. The ruling on the field was a touchdown.
So we'll take a longer look just to see if the ball did cross the end line before any body part hit the ground.
Good shot of Carlos Hyde coming right at you. See, he just continues to run through tackles. It's tough to tell right there because Alexander Webb, number 27, kind of covers up Carlos Hyde in that replay right at the end. This might give us a little bit of a better shot here.
Ryan Williams will try to make that tackle.
That might be a little bit short.
You know what, partner? I don't think that's indisputable video evidence. I think that.
When the turnover was down, the ball was at the 1 yard line at the time the knee hit. It'll be first to goal,
okay.
The 1 yard line.
So indisputable video evidence was found, and the call is reversed. Ball's placed at the 1 yard line. First and goal for Ohio State.
And you know what you do? Turn around and give the ball to number 34. So big, huge run that he had right there. Nearly got in the end zone. Turn around, give it to 34, and let him pound his way into the end zone. There's that quick huddle again by Ohio State.
And it is Hyde. Some delayed gratification. Touchdown, Buckeyes.
I like his style. Carlos Hyde runs hard. He never stops those legs upon contact. Right there you can see Antonio Marshall had a chance to bring him down in the hole, but he just never stops those legs, and he's got so much power to be able to push and get into the end zone.
.45 points for Ohio State in just over 45 minutes of work. Carlos Hyde with a touchdown receiving and now a touchdown on the ground.
He's had a couple of really good weeks of football. Last week against Nebraska, you talked about it earlier, partner. He had 4 touchdowns and 140 yards rushing to go along with Braxton Miller's 186. That's a pretty solid 1-2 punch right there between quarterback and running back.
Look at that, going to each and every one of his offensive linemen. We were talking to the offensive coordinator for Ohio State, Tom Herman, earlier this year about what kind of kid Carlos Hyde is. He just said, you know what, this guy, he is just what we want out of Ohio State football players.
180-degree turnaround that he's had, especially in the offseason. He kind of looked himself in the eye and said, you know what, I got to turn my attitude around and I got to be much more positive player. And he's come in this year and he's shown that he not only deserves to be in the rotation, but he deserves to be in there every play unless he gets winded and he needs to come out.
So if you said he's changed his attitude 180 degrees, would he have gone from Jekyll to Hyde?
I think that's how that works. Is that correct? I knew you were just waiting to slide that one in there.
Fourth quarter, just getting underway. 20 seconds into it in Ohio State. They're up by 18. Short spinning kickoff. Coleman had a nice return last time he touched it. This time, out to the 24-yard line. Now time for the Rotel campus rivalries. Ohio State, 17 straight wins in this series. Indiana's last win against Ohio State, 1988, right here at Memorial Stadium. So it's been a while.
Well, Ohio State's well on their way again. Still a lot of football left to be played, but They've shown that unless they turn the football over here, this Ohio State offense can't be stopped here in the second half.
Kaufman looking deep into coverage. That pass spun Kofi Hughes around, and it's incomplete. Coverage by Travis Howard. Indiana began the season with a couple of wins, knocked off Indiana State and UMass. They've lost their last 3, including conference losses against Northwestern and Michigan State. If this isn't last year's edition of the Hoosiers that only won 1 game all season long, there is real reason for optimism with Indiana. Over the middle, Latimer, another catch. Well, if the Hoosiers have anything going for them, they have that quick strike offense.
Yeah, we've seen just a couple too many drops that haven't been able to get it going. Running game also, Eric, was there in the first half, just really hasn't been part of it. They've had to kind of throw an audible in the game and do a lot more pass trying to play catch up here in the second half.
Another stop for the big fella, Jonathan Hankins, who's joined inside by true freshman Adolphus Washington. Kaufman slides for his own protection at the 39-yard line.
Again, just nobody there for Indiana in the receiving game. They were covered up. You had both Travis Howard and Christian Bryant were stuck right to the Indiana receivers. Kaufman took a look downfield, but there just was no place to slide the football in.
Just saw Noah Spence, true freshman, back into the game for Ohio State, number 8. And this is Spence. Oh, he put a hit on Kaufman, but the pass is complete. D'Angelo Roberts across the 50, and that'll be a first down for Indiana.
Just part of playing quarterback position. You know sometimes you're going to take hits, and you just got to still be able to step up and be able to deliver a throw. This one actually comes from the backside. Still able to get rid of the ball.
Little check down, nothing doing. Ryan Shazier makes the tackle of the tight end, Ted Bolzer. And there's a Buckeye down. Uh-oh, that's Storm Klein. This is a linebacking core that's been dealing with a lot of injuries in recent weeks, and Storm Klein, he is needed on the field. Now you can join the discussion during our radio simulcast as our guys talk about what's happening around Big Ten football. BTN Live, presented by AuctionTime.com. It's Tuesday night on BTN. Buckeyes playing without Etienne Sabino. He's going to be out for about a month with a broken bone in his right leg. We've already seen Zach Boren, who spent the first 3 years in Columbus as a fullback, play some at linebacker this evening. We've seen Joshua Perry, a true freshman, get some playing time, and now they're going to have to go even deeper onto the bench as Storm Klein is going to miss at least a play.
Not only have they been depleted with injuries, but it's just also probably the youngest position group that they have on their team. You talked about Joshua Perry, who's a freshman, as Zach Boren comes back out on the field, but they've also got David Perkins, a freshman, Cameron Williams, a freshman. It's just tough to be able to put such young guys on the field. Now, they do have the luxury of having an experienced defensive front and an experienced secondary, but that is the weakness of this defense right now, is they're really thin at linebacker.
245 passing yards for Indiana. They lead the Big Ten in passing offense coming into this one. Houston stuffed after a nominal gain. John Simon, bottom of that pile. Simon a week ago had 5 tackles for losses, including 2 sacks and a forced fumble against Nebraska. Hasn't been as productive this evening, but he's been awfully good. first down catch made, Ted Bolzer. Bolzer now with 5 catches.
Yeah, Bolzer having a nice night. Good job by Kaufman right there, being able to keep this drive alive on a 3rd and long situation, finds his tight end. That's usually one of the more comfortable positions for a quarterback. They like to find those running backs coming out of the backfield, tight ends. A lot of times those are their secure guys as far as making catches.
End around, this is Wynn, trying to use that great speed, and he's inside the 15.
Wynn on the carry.
A good play design right there. They got their wide receiver, Jamon Chester, was getting a nice block downfield, and then Ted Bolzer was also coming through. See number 83 coming through your screen right there to lead on the play. Good design right there, but see Jamon Chester right there. That's a long time for a wide receiver to block a corner down the field.
Kaufman pump fakes, looks the other way. This is Bolzer. And Bolzer knocked out of bounds. Close to the goal line. Zach Boren saved the touchdown.
See Kaufman quickly getting through his progression on this play. Comes all the way to the backside. Keep an eye on Ted Bolzer's feet here.
Wow. Stayed in bounds that entire time.
Did tightrope that sideline, didn't he?
Big man, 6'6", 250 pounds out of Cincinnati. Zach Boren makes the tackle.
Yeah, that just shows you right there the confidence that this coaching staff has in Zach Boren, a guy that actually came to Ohio State playing some linebacker, but hasn't seen a whole lot of action there.
Good power leap. D'Angelo Roberts up and in. Touchdown, Indiana. That's a nice drive for them to stay in this game. There is a flag down on the field.
Play results, touchdown.
And it's against Ohio State.
The Indiana offense keeps doing their part. They continue to fight. They're driving down the field. They're putting points on the board. Now they just got to hope that their defense can help them out a little bit, get a stop, get a turnover, because they're matching with points here in the second half.
Derek, did the defense change for Ohio State on that drive? Were they playing more bend but no break? Or was that the same defense they've been playing the entire game?
Well, I think I would agree with that. I think they're playing a little bit more bend and not break. They can't do a whole lot from the linebacker position, especially with Boren in there. You can't get exotic with the type of blitzes or coverages that you do with him.
Still an unusual scoring drive for Indiana. 12 plays. It took 4 minutes, 10 seconds off the clock. That's an eternity for them.
Can't touch us, recognize shorty. Matter of fact, I'm tired of talking to you. Drop and give me 40. We ready for 'em, let's get it on. 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 We ready for 'em, let's get it on.
79 combined points with 10:30 left to play in this one. Ohio State on top of Indiana 45-34, and Ohio State also on top in the ball control category.
They can see over 30 minutes of possession, but not a whole lot of difference when it comes to plays. Of course, we knew coming into this one that Indiana tries to get so many plays off, especially once they start to get a first down or two. They can move the football down the field much quicker than Ohio State probably likes to.
Rod Smith takes a knee. Ohio State will start at the 25-yard line. Well, we've got more Big Ten football coming your way in prime time next weekend. It'll be a good one out in Iowa City. Penn State Nittany Lions coming off a bye. They're going to take on the Iowa Hawkeyes, who had an overtime win against Michigan State this afternoon. Next Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern time only, right here on BTN. A lot of teams winning on the road. Iowa, Northwestern, and Wisconsin. Only home team to win so far today, Michigan, in a rainstorm in Ann Arbor. Actually, this is the only game in the Big Ten where we have not seen rain today. Corey Brown makes the catch on first down, dives to the first down marker It'll be a pickup of 10. Antonio Marshall, making his first start of his career, makes the tackle on Corey Brown. We haven't seen Kenny Mullen at all. Marshall replacing Mullen at the corner. He's done a decent job. Hyde just mauled inside. Nicholas Slager with the tackle. Well, Indiana, they're going to have to play the rest of the day without Mark Murphy. Murphy was injured earlier in this second half. He's been replaced by Alexander Webb. Murphy is very important to what the Hoosiers are trying to do. There he is with the ice on the left shoulder. He's the guy who makes all the defensive calls in the back half for the defense. Miller gets out of trouble. And Miller, steaming down the sideline, steps out of bounds. Man, is he slippery.
Just when you think you've got him bottled up, again, it just goes back to that vision that he has. He just sees all of the defense. He's rolling out. Looks like Indiana's in pretty good position. They get him to stop his feet, come back inside. Then right at the last second, you saw 71 Corey Lindsley, the center, get a nice block that was able to free him up outside.
Ohio State coaching staff comparing.
Braxton Miller sets up his blocks like almost nobody I've ever seen. He's got great patience and makes the cut when he needs to make it.
And a penalty flag flies.
Ball start, 77 offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Buckeyes heading the wrong way.
Here's Reed Fragel right here. Just gets a little bit of a head start on the play. The only way Ohio State, I think, is going to get slowed down in this final quarter is if they end up stopping themselves. They've been so successful, especially like that last play. Braxton Miller able to make a play out of what looked like it was bottled up. You just can't afford to have these penalties when they're trying to work on that clock.
Hyde spun down. Jakari Alexander with another stop. We were talking to the Ohio State coaching staff earlier this week. We were talking about Braxton Miller and his style. And with the kind of the stocky build and the quick feet, to me, he reminded me a little bit of a young Donovan McNabb back when he was at Syracuse. The coaching staff said, you know what? To me, it's closer to Michael Vick with the type of electricity he's got in his feet.
Well, it definitely has the electricity in the running game. I played with Michael Vick for 5 years, and I can tell you just from watching Braxton Miller and knowing Mike Vick, Braxton Miller doesn't have the same kind of arm strength, same kind of zip on the football when he's throwing it, but I would definitely put him in the category of the elusiveness of Michael Vick.
Here's the elusive Braxton Miller diving across the 50. Now you want to do that comparison? How about here? Vick and Miller.
You know, it goes back to the two things that Jay and I were talking about, the vision and the patience. Both of those guys have the exact same thing when it comes to seeing the ball down the field. And, you know, Michael Vick, he just had a cannon for an arm, but being able to see the defense and how they're trying to attack you and then wait, set them up, and then get north and south. I think that's the similarities that both these guys have vision like a running back.
How come you have a video of Vick throwing you a touchdown pass?
To go to the NFL days, Miami Dolphins.
Third down and 4. Miller, a dart caught by Devin Smith. Hangs on to this one. Another big play. Smith down the sideline. Yes, touchdown Ohio State. Devin Smith doesn't do anything halfway. He's either dropping sure touchdowns or he's making touchdowns out of nothing.
And Braxton Miller heard me. Look at that strike that he threw. Just a laser. He actually heard me saying that Vick had a little bit of a stronger arm. And right on cue, he comes out with just a cannon to Devin Smith. And we've seen Devin Smith has had his ups and downs this evening, but he's also made a couple really good plays as well.
Braxton Miller was frustrated with Devin Smith earlier in this game. He's dropped 2 touchdowns. But right now, Braxton Miller and the Buckeyes flying high. BTN Football is brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. By Verizon. Call Star NFL to get coverage of every NFL game on NFL Mobile from Verizon. And by Case IH. Be ready with Case IH Advanced Farming Systems. Visit caseih.com/AFF. We're at Memorial Stadium, where we've seen a whole bunch of offense so far. 6:47 left in this one. We've got a combined 86 points. With Derek Rackley and Jay Lehman, I'm Eric Collins. Ohio State, 52 points. One of those touchdowns on special teams. Blocked punt for a touchdown in the first half. Basil's kickoffs are getting shorter and shorter as the night wears on. Indiana will start at the 22-yard line. The final drive coming your way right here on BTN when this one draws to a close. Full house. Dave, Jerry, Howard, and Glenn standing by. Derek, I'll give you a first opportunity. What's been the big story today in your eyes around the Big Ten?
Well, in my opinion, it's that Michigan is making a play to get back on the top of everybody's minds. I think they lost to Alabama early on. And we got a chance to see them last week and again at home today versus Illinois. Offense is putting points on the board. Defense seems like they're coming back into their own. I think Michigan's a team you're going to have to keep your eye on the rest of the season.
Hey, Jay, you have an opinion on the big thought, the big theme so far today around the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think Wisconsin made a statement today. I thought Purdue was going to be a better football team than they've showed the last 2 weeks. But Wisconsin, it's kind of the team we thought we'd all see from the beginning of the year. And they're in the driver's seat for their division now, and Monty Ball has finally got the ball rolling.
Houston dragged to the ground by Travis Howard. I'm going to put my 2 cents in with Kirk Ferentz. Iowa, it was a sloppy game. There were no style points won, but you go on the road and you win against Michigan State, and you're still unbeaten in conference play. This is a team that was really up against it. They still haven't played good football. If they can catch fire, they've got a quarterback. You don't know, but they've got a chance still as they're 2-0 in conference play.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Iowa, a lot of people coming into this season thought that they might be the team that would have the best passing game with James Vandenberg, maybe one of the best true passers in the league, but they just haven't been able to find their way in the passing game. They found Weissman in the running game, but they just haven't been able to put both of those together.
Almost intercepted with the one hand by Ryan Shazier. 3rd and 11. All right, let's get back to this game. Should Ohio State be worried about the fact that they've given up 34 points to Indiana?
Well, we've seen in consecutive weeks now, Nebraska and Indiana putting up some points on this defense. I definitely think it's something to be concerned about when your defense is giving up so many points. The good news is they got an offense that's clicking on all cylinders right now, and 52 today. So they're in good hands right now because they feel comfortable that they can win a shootout, but know that Urban Meyer wants his defense to buckle down and figure things out for the second half of the season.
3rd down, incomplete. Bolzer has his leg taken out from underneath him by Christian Bryant.
Again, Christian Bryant coming downhill right here. Just the recognition of the play. He sees Kaufman going towards Bolzer, and he comes downhill and makes a big play. And if he doesn't come and make that tackle, make that hit when the ball arrives, Bolzer maybe catches it. Who knows what happens, but you're seeing these defensive backs, all 4 of them have made a number of plays in both the pass and the run game that have helped get stops on 3rd down.
Buckeyes come after another punt. Toth gets it off. skips out of bounds inside the 25-yard line. 5:08 left to play. Urban Meyer still has never tasted defeat as the head man of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Welcome back, everyone. Well, it's safe to say that we have had the best weather of any Big Ten venue here on this Saturday afternoon and evening around the conference.
I think that's safe to say. A bunch of rain all over the Big Ten Conference, but not here in Bloomington. It's been a beautiful day, and that continued here in the evening, although I hear that there is going to be some weather coming later on tonight, early tomorrow morning.
Love that. Paying attention. Meteorology. Ohio State has the ball, just trying to bleed some clock, and before the play is snapped, we've got a penalty.
False start, 34 offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, watch Carlos Hyde just starts going towards the line of scrimmage just a little bit too early. Bill Lamonier, he's too good. He's too close to that one.
Carlos Hyde, no doubt about it. This is a guy who has been our John Deere Gator game changer with his 151 yards rushing.
151 and counting. Still over 5 minutes left in this ball game, and know that he's going to get quite a few more carries here before it's all said and done.
Here's another one of them. He is closing in on 300 yards in the last 2 weeks combined. Had 140 against Nebraska and 4 touchdowns 7 days ago.
You know, and I don't want to sit here and just say that Carlos Hyde is the power back, because he's shown the ability that not only does he have the footwork to be able to make people miss in the hole, but once he does bust through the hole, he's got enough speed, maybe not to outrun some of the elite corners and safeties in this league, but still enough to be able to make big plays. And I think that's the difference that you're seeing, is it's not just the Braxton Miller show in the running game. Now Carlos Hyde has just really elevated his play and become a premier back here in the conference and been an excellent 1-2 punch.
Miller keeps it. Tackle by Nick Mangieri, getting some playing time in the fourth quarter.
Let's go back and take a look at what Carlos Hyde has done this evening for Ohio State. Again, we talked a little bit about that speed. I mean, he burst through the hole, but his strength is just the ability to break tackles, and takes this little shovel pass and gets himself into the end zone. Familiar sight, gets into the end zone again. And I just like the combination of what he does, and it seems like he gets better and better every single week. And that's not all just on him. You got to give a lot of credit to that offensive line. All 5 guys have started every single game this year. There's continuity. They're starting to understand how to play with each other, making sure they're on the same page with communication. So that's why you saw after Carlos Hyde's last touchdown, he went and gave some love to the offensive line, because there's no holes there for him and Braxton Miller if those 5 guys up front aren't doing their job.
First timeout called for Indiana. They have 2 remaining as we look at the Buckeyes' remaining schedule. Next week, Purdue and Penn State, Illinois, the bye, and then huge games to finish off the year at Wisconsin and home against the Michigan Wolverines. On third down, Miller trying to keep the drive alive. He's tackled, and Ohio State will have to punt the football away. Indiana uses their second timeout. Kevin Wilson, when we talked to him, said, you know, in my book, there's no such thing as moral victories. I know we're getting closer to winning games, but that still doesn't count. There's a scoreboard and a clock for a reason. We want to win. Now, they may not win today, but his team has at least thrown a scare into Ohio State.
They've got the ability to put points on the board. They've shown us that. They just got to find a couple of things out defensively. You know, we talked earlier in the game that they've brought some junior college guys in because they're so young. There's so many freshmen and redshirt freshmen and sophomores that are playing for Indiana on both sides of the football, and it's tough to be able to compete with teams like Ohio State that are going to run against a lot of juniors and seniors that have seen a lot of Big Ten football and that have a little bit more maturity when you talk about it physically.
Buchanan's kick will be down inside the 30 at the 26-yard line. Punt of 50 yards, no return. All right, well, let's take you back to the first half of play for tonight's Verizon Key Connection. Braxton Miller finding Devin Smith.
Sounds like a familiar sentence that we've heard quite a few times, and at least this season, Braxton Miller to Devin Smith, and these guys can really be special in this league. Devin Smith has had, we talked about earlier, a little bit of an up and down night. Probably could have had 4 touchdowns. He had a couple others that were right there in his hands, but he's always got that big play ability, and you're starting to see that Braxton Miller is throwing the ball in his direction a little bit more.
All right, change at quarterback now. Nate Sudfeld comes in, a true freshman from Modesto, California. True freshman to true freshman. Sudfeld finds Tevin Coleman out of the backfield.
Talks a little bit about Sudfeld earlier in the game. Is very similar to Cam Kaufman. The only difference is he's about 3 inches taller, and he's a freshman, but the coaches like how he's coming in. He continues to compete. He has good practices every single week, and he's earned the opportunity to be in the ball game.
Sudfeld like Cameron. Kaufman very cautious with the football. He's thrown 3 touchdowns, hasn't thrown an interception. While we have a moment, Ohio State has a very special Buckeye fan. Their thoughts and prayers this weekend. Larry Troxell has not missed a Buckeye game either in person or on television in the last 50 years. Larry Troxell normally would be at a game like today. He's a native of Indianapolis, but he couldn't make it today. He's in a hospital. And the Ohio State Buckeye fans, or Ohio State Buckeyes, wanted to pass along a note and say, get well soon, Larry, and love to see you back at Ohio Stadium, following the Buckeyes like you have for a half a century.
Well said, Parker.
.52-34 is our score. Indiana still 1 timeout remaining, 2nd down and 10. Sudfeld. Zach Boren. He's getting a lot of snaps here in the second half as a linebacker. How easy is that for a guy who obviously was a really good high school linebacker, but hadn't played much linebacker at the college level to come in and get probably 25, 30 snaps?
Well, I'd say it's not easy, but it's going to be easier for a guy like Zach Boren that has played a lot of college football, so he understands the position because he played it earlier in his career, but he also understands it because he's been in meeting rooms throughout his entire career talking about defense, more or less from an offensive perspective, but he still understands the technique of coming towards the line of scrimmage, having gap control, dropping into a certain area when it's coverage. And he's a smart football player. That's the reason why they're working him in over on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, Urban Meyer playing without Etienne Sabino and one of the linebackers. He's going to be out for a month. We saw Storm Klein leave earlier in this second half. He hasn't returned. They have some issues as they get ready for their next game. We've got a timeout on the field. While we had that timeout, let's take a look at the day in the life of Urban Meyer.
We've talked about it all game. He's had his ups and downs and takes so much pride in the special teams, and very active guy on the sidelines. Always got his players back and continually dialed into the game, and we'll see his success that he's had here as an Ohio State head coach.
Derek, they used to say about Paul Bear Bryant, he can take his and beat yours. He can take yours and beat his. He made a difference as a coach, and obviously Urban Meyer is that style of head coach. This is an Ohio State team that had all sorts of problems a year ago, and they're going to get off to a 7-0 start.
Well, he understands his personnel, and he understands how to maximize that personnel, and brought in Tom Herman because he wanted to run that spread style of offense, option, zone read, and he has one of the greatest quarterbacks in college football to do that with. So he said, you know what, I got to do what's best for my team, work to the strengths of my quarterback, and he's just trying to complement by finding speed at the skill positions and trying to find some guys that'll step up and play more of the defense that he's accustomed to.
Look at that, intense. Under 2.5 left to play, and on a 4th down, Indiana stays on the field, and Urban none too pleased. Dangerous pass. Knocked out of bounds by C.J. Barnett. I'd like to thank the media relations departments for both schools for their help throughout the course of this week as we got ready. Jerry Emig and Dan Wallenberg from Ohio State. And J.D. Campbell's crack staff here at Indiana. Jeff Kegg is one of the best football SIDs. Thanks, fellas. Nice hospitality shown here in Bloomington, too. You can get a good meal in Bloomington if you want.
Experienced some good barbecue the last couple of days here. It's been nice.
Incomplete, and there's still some hitting going on, and a flag comes in. Ryan Shazier and Orion Johnson on that hit. Anthony Corsero, who is the intended receiver. He was crunched by Shazier and Johnson.
2 fouls on the play. 1 live ball, 1 dead ball. Unnecessary roughness. Defense, number 19. Dead ball. Personal foul, number 52. Both penalties will be assessed. Automatic first down.
Well, they got him on Orion Johnson and Jonathan Hankins. This is... Well, that's the hit. There's no penalty on that.
There you can see it right there.
And Jonathan Hankins throwing his blocker to the ground and then ripping off the helmet as well. That's flag worthy. So the ball moved down to the 13-yard line. It's going to be a touchdown. Indiana not giving up. Deweese Wilson puts 6 more on the board. This is now the most points allowed by Ohio State on the year. Last week, Ohio State giving up 38 against Nebraska. Now with the extra point, the Hoosiers putting 41 on the board against the Buckeyes.
You mentioned it, Eric. Indiana just keeps fighting right here, and Deweese Wilson had a tough first half with a couple of drops, but was able to bring this one down and then just slide across the formation to get in the end zone. Or just see Zach Bourne flying out with the running back right there. Tevin Coleman opened up that window, and Deweese Wilson saw the gap in the defense and was able to get into the end zone.
Indiana 41 points. The final touchdown for Kevin Wilson's bunch. Nate Sudfeld coming in, 10 plays, 74 yards, culminating with a 12-yard touchdown pass to Wilson. Deweese Wilson. I think they're going to go for the onside kick. Big bouncer. It'll go out of bounds. Did they save it? No signal as of yet. There's a flag down on the field. Indiana player land out of bounds before he touched the football and batted back into the field of play.
The change on the onside kicks this year is, you see the kickers are going to hit the dribbling ball, because when they hit the ball into the ground and make the high hop, they can't contact anybody that's trying to catch the football. Right here at the last second.
Yeah, that's Nick Stoner.
Looks like that left foot might have came down before he tossed it back in bounds, though.
It's Nick Stoner, one of the wide receivers, who touches the football first. Was he out of bounds when he threw it back in? Oh, you're right, Derek.
Well, that
may have landed out of bounds.
That's really close, though.
Following the conference on the field, the kicking player jumped. While in the air, he batted the ball backwards, which is legal. The ball was recovered by Indiana. First down, Indiana.
So it's Indiana ball, but of course they're going to look at it a little bit longer.
Again, right there, you see Stoner leaps out of bounds.
Not out of bounds yet, but does he get rid of it before that left foot hits the ground?
Boy, that was awfully close.
And there's the ring down.
Previous play is under review.
So we'll take a couple of different looks just to check out the left foot of Nick Stoner.
See, he peels through it, redirects, gets a great bounce, but watch the left foot. Man, that is just so close to be able to tell whether or not the left foot touches before the ball leaves his hands.
Now, the ruling on the field was he did get the ball back into the field of play, and it's Indiana football. So do we have indisputable video evidence to overturn that call?
I just don't know if that's indisputable video evidence. That is just so close right there. Tough to tell on that angle right there.
Nick Stoner, one of the best athletes at Indiana. He's an elite sprinter. He's part of a Big Ten champion relay team.
Called. First down, Indiana.
And he makes the play of the night on special teams. How about that? Play stands as called. So the onside kick recovered by the Hoosiers. And with no timeouts remaining, they've got the football with exactly 100 seconds left to play. Still need 2 scores, but they've got a pulse. No timeouts. Houston at least gets the first down. That'll stop the clock temporarily while the chains move. Derek, if you're Indiana, do you change quarterbacks and bring Kaufman back into the game?
No, not at all. Not right now. Not after that last drive that he has. You start this drive off well, and he's just got to make sure that if he throws the ball into the other jersey, he's going to end up stopping the drive. He almost did it right there. Ryan Shazier almost got his hands on an interception. You got to make sure you make smart decisions in this situation.
Sudfeld, true freshman from Modesto, California. He's thrown 4 touchdowns without an interception as a college player. Through the fingertips of the tight end Bolzer, and was almost picked off by Ohio State.
Again, it's a good throw right here. It's a ball that Ted Bolzer needs to bring in. And how many times do you see when a ball gets deflected like that? Ends up being the deciding factor in the game. One of the defenders comes up with an interception.
Ohio State moves on the line. Were they drawn offsides?
Contact, number 52 defense. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Buckeyes not finishing this game the way that Urban Meyer would have liked.
Well, Jonathan Hankins is a guy they say right in there is the one that ends up getting. They said that he made some contact right there, but a smart play by the center, Will Matty, to go ahead and snap the ball with Hankins in the neutral zone.
Play clock at 6. Little loop out to Hughes, who steps out of bounds. Clock stops, 1:15 left.
Noah Spence, who plays that defensive end position, was dropping back in coverage, and I think he got, well, you see him coming up towards the quarterback, Sudfeld, right there, and Sudfeld just dropped one right over the top of his head.
Sudfeld with a shovel pass. Houston trying to get to the edge. Touchdown, Indiana. Six more points for Indiana. There's still work to be done. They need a 2-point conversion here.
Ohio State went with what you call that Tampa 2 coverage, where they drop their middle linebacker deep to the middle of the field. The other linebackers are dropping into their coverage, left the middle of the field wide open, and that's right where Stephen Houston took advantage.
All right, down by 5. You got to go for 2 if you're Indiana. It's down to a 1-possession game, but you want to get it down to a 1-field-goal game. Kofi Hughes is going to take this snap under center. End around. Latimer. Did he get in? Yes. 2 more points. It's a 3-point game.
A little bit of trickery. You mentioned Kofi Hughes is in the ball game. Just a little bit of a pitch back there on the reverse to Cody Latimer. And that looks clearly like a touchdown to me. He reached that ball out and got it on the pylon. Excuse me, 2-point conversion.
So Kevin Wilson's team has scored 49 points against Ohio State, the 8th-ranked team in the country.
Eric, they've just continued to fight here, not only in the 4th quarter, but in the final minutes of the 4th quarter. This is what you want to see out of your team. They're not feeling like they're out of this ball game. They're clawing their way back in. And you talked about 100 seconds left before they got the football. They got down and scored a touchdown and a 2-point conversion in 35 seconds.
And now how big was this onside kick a moment ago?
Nick Stoner made an outstanding athletic play to save that ball in bounds. And then you talk about the freshman quarterback comes in the 4th quarter, leads his team down the field on consecutive drives. And now there's plenty of time left in a game that's only separated by a field goal.
Well, they need another onside kick.
Sure.
They've got no timeouts left, do the Indiana Hoosiers. They need the onside kick here. Can they get 2 in a row? They try the middle of the field, and Ohio State jumps on it. Corey Brown jumps on the loose ball. He was really the only person around it.
And I have no problem with that decision, because there's no guarantees that Ewald's going to get a bounce like he did on the last one, so they try to go back to the left to see if they can get Ohio State outnumbered.
Oh,
That's just an excellent play by Corey Brown. If that ball takes
That's
a bad
just an
bounce,
excellent bounce, is what it was.
So I'm saying if it takes a bad bounce and Corey Brown's not able to get on top of it,
he's the only man back there.
You see Stoner's coming again, 14.
And they're in field goal range. That could have been disastrous if you're a Buckeye fan. Ohio State, they've already surrendered the most points ever against the Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana, once back in 1988, scored 41 against the Buckeyes. They get 49 this evening. And that's the first sign of submission for Kevin Wilson. His team did not give any quarter. They played for 60 minutes, and they gave the 8th-ranked team in the country a real fight. Urban Meyer and the Buckeyes remain unbeaten, but just barely. They win by a field goal, 52-49 the final score. What an offensive day. Over 100 points combined between these two schools.
Big-time offensive performance in this ballgame. Got to give credit to both sides. They really came out with an outstanding game plan, both Ohio State and Indiana.
So Ohio State, they moved to 7-0 on the season. That's going to do it from Bloomington. Final score, Ohio State 52, Indiana 49. For Derek Rackley and Jay Lehman, I'm Eric Collins. Let's send you to Dave, Jerry, Howard, and Glenn in our Chicago studio for the final drive.